You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look me better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper than again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Naruto Enters Green Lantern, the animated series. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto was currently asleep in his room feeling a bit more calm than he normally was or had ever felt. His body was feeling a sense of calmness and peace. The space the ship traveled seemingly brimming with a powerful sense of life. Naruto felt at peace, opening his eyes, finding himself in a field of grass, admiring the simplistic beauty of nature, but it felt more than that, as all the nature energy felt more powerful and felt like he was feeling not just it but someone. "Hello nature brother," a loud booming voice said to him. "How are you?" he asked him curiously but sounded a bit excited by Naruto's presence. "I'm fine," Naruto said as he was too relaxed to even question the voice, feeling no danger whatsoever. "I need your help my brother, my life is in danger," the voice said to him. "Please brother, I know you can help me," he said to him as if pleadingly. Naruto began fighting the euphoric peace he felt and stood tall, needing to have his wits about him in order to properly think. "How?" he asked him, and soon he saw many pussies bloom around him before he was shown the sky, seeing a meteorite a far distance away. "Your nature is honest, strong, and true. I believe in you Naruto," the voice said to him before the world began to fade around him. Naruto's room. Naruto shot out of his bed the moment he woke up. "Naruto, we need ring power here now, we're dash," Hal was saying before Naruto ran out the ship. "The hell is he going?" he asked no one in particular as his friend just went rogue. "I'll follow," Razor said as he was useless here as it is, seeing the main battery wouldn't accept his ring power so he could not help even if he wanted to. He followed Naruto to the top of the ship. "What are you doing? Get inside, we need dash," he was saying till he was pushed back as Naruto's form changed. Naruto entered his final form of his chakra state that allowed him to manifest Kurama on top of the ship. The form was different as it was not the golden chakra it usually was, and his jacket was green with yellow highlights. The normally black lines running up his form were red, and he even had glowing razor-sharp nails, and his eyes shined a brighter red than Kurama's ever did, with the rest of his eye being black, and his hair had been the only thing to glow in its natural gold color, but there were small streaks of white in it. "Wind style," Naruto said calmly, raising his hand. "Spectrum Raisin Shuriken," he said as a glowing Raisin Shuriken appeared in his hand, the rasengan fluctuating between the three colors he was using, and when he sent his attack at the asteroid it immediately split in two. "What the grots was that dash?" Razor was in the middle of saying as seeing the attack split the asteroid was mind-boggling, but what came next even more so, as the attack blew up and instead of blowing outward it seemed to draw everything in, destroying the entire asteroid. 2 minutes later. "Are you kidding me right now? We had power like this on board this whole time," Razor said in anger as Naruto was laying on the bench knocked out. Just how much power did Naruto fire?" Hal asked her curiously, wondering what they could compare that to. Approximately the power of the lantern battery," Aya said to him, getting many looks of disbelief. "Our batteries are that powerful?" Hal asked, looking at another portable one offhandedly. "I don't buy it," he said to her as he was sure if they ever exploded it'd be enough to take down a city block at best. The asteroid was the size of a large city. "Aya merely pointed at the ship's lantern battery engine. I was referring to the interceptor's lantern battery," she states, correcting them. "You're kidding me," Kilowag said in awe, unable to grasp that sort of power as he looked at the ship's engine. "And here I thought the orange energy was powerful," Razor said as he looked at Naruto. "We should use him. He wiped out an asteroid like a liberator wipes out a planet," he said to them, comparing Naruto's power to that of the world-destroying weapon. "Kilowog?" Hal asked his friend, wondering his thoughts both personal and military. "Listen Red, I lost my planet and I may not know much about the kid, but I think he lost his too. I don't think he'd do anything on that scale unless the chips were down. Kilowog said, answering how, but looked at Razor, giving his thoughts, and think carefully what you say. Remember, you had the power to destroy a planet and did. This is still Naruto's choice, he said to him, seeing Razor's face go between angry, sad, and basically furious. We are getting a distress beacon. Aya said to them, picking up a signal. Good, we can use a distraction after all that. Hal said to them, wanting to clear their heads, as it would be best to do some genuine lantern work. Few minutes later. Ugh, Hal. Kilowag said as while they talked to the stranded people and saw Vines enter the ship and start taking Naruto. Is that normal? Hal asked as they picked Naruto up with their rings. No, may I ask who that is? Zartok said, pointing at Naruto. The guy who destroyed the asteroid. Hal said to them, getting looks of surprise. Your rings are that powerful? Drusa asked them in surprise, looking at their rings in awe. Hal didn't know how to respond as the rings were dependent on many variables besides the power of one's willpower. How powerful is she? Drusa asked as she saw Aya have 10 rings while the others had only 1. She's a special case. Kilowag said as it still baffled that Aya could become a lantern, let alone get 10 rings. Well, we welcome you all the same. Zartok said to him. Green Lantern Hal, Naruto is gone. Aya said to him. What are Hal asked as Razor was on the floor and Naruto was gone. What happened? He asked, wondering what happened to him and Naruto. I was attacked by what you call a hippie. Razor said as he was enraged as he was blindsided by someone Hal made fun of or made jokes about in the past. Where the hell they go? Kilowag said in anger that one of their injured was taken right from them. It was even more personal when that was their own team members. Can I ask you something? Naruto asked, still tired, finding himself in the same field as before in his dream. Why do I trust you and you me? He asked him curiously, wondering why there was so much trust he was willing to give this being. We may have different shells, but we are of the same cloth, the voice said, his voice as if traveling through the wind itself. You are my brother and I yours. You have my faith and trust, he said to him. Those people are evil. Naruto said as he may have been weak, but he was not blind and was able to sense the negative emotions and intentions in the 3 stranded castaways. The one with the spear is a monster, the girl is misguided, and the animal needs to die, the voice said to him, sounding annoyed when the animal was mentioned. Yikes, what did he do? Naruto asked, hearing the annoyance in his tone. He has repeatedly defecated on me, despite there being a functional restroom in the crashed ship he and his cohorts reside in. He chooses to defile what is essentially my face, the voice said to him. Naruto didn't know what to say, but chose not to laugh as that'd be a bad move, though he had to admit the voice had a reasonable reason for wanting the alien dead. Can you help me with this? The voice asked him, presenting him a Green Lantern ring. Sure, but first can I get a name? Naruto asked him curiously, wanting to know who his friend was. My name, brother, is Mogo. Mogo said to Naruto, properly introducing himself. All right. Naruto said as he blasted a hole in the ground. Sorry if that hurt, he said to him as he dropped the ring in the hole. It is fine, Mogo said as a pillar of green energy shot into the sky, soon reaching orbit around the planet and becoming a green band with the Green Lantern logo. With the others. The planet is a Green Lantern. Razor said in shock, actually considering slapping himself to see if he was dreaming or having a nightmare. Well, there's something you don't see every day. Hal said as this certainly was a sight, like a planetary event like the Northern Lights back on Earth. With Aya. If you ever attempt that again, I will not be responsible for my actions. Aya said as Drusa tried to hack her, but her being half-organic stopped that, and the fact that Naruto had been training her in non-lantern reactions in the event her rings were ever dead or lacked a charge. How were you able to overwrite my hack? Drusa asked from her spot on the floor where she was bound in construct chains that were wrapped around her. And what the hell has she been looking at to know how to bind me this way, she thought, as the way in which the techno-organic cyborg had her bound was rather lewd. I am more than just a machine. Aya said, proud about who and what she was, not limited to just one thing. Few minutes later. You gonna keep that? Naruto asked Kilowag curiously as he held the staff Zartok apparently stole. No, I'm gonna return it to the site of the battle, leave it there for the real warrior. Kilowag said as he sent a look of disgust at Zartok. I would like to take her. Aya said looking at Drusa, when she tried to hack me, it took her seconds and I'd like to develop ways to prevent that in the future, she said to the others who in no way gave her any reason to say no, and it and Mogo even backed her. Later that day. Aya, you okay? Naruto asked looking at her curiously as she was in the cockpit sitting on a chair looking at space. I am having difficulty. Aya said looking out into space. Since when? Naruto asked her curiously, wondering what was causing her difficulty to begin with. The Arachne prison, that when I was near those yellow crystals, I was fine for a short time, but I saw things when Drusa tried to hack me. Aya said sadly as she had small errors in her mechanical side. Hey, I'm here for you. Naruto said, getting closer to her in case she needed comforting. I was hurt, Naruto, I do not know why and do not understand what for. Aya said to him, it was one of the guardians, she said to him in fear. Naruto thought to himself as he knew a lot of the guardians were idiots in their own right, that a lot of the times, Aya, I give you my word, nothing and no one will do that to you again, he said, grabbing her hands. Do you know what these are? He asked her. My lantern rings. Aya said to him looking at each ring on her fingers. Yes, and do you know why you have them? Naruto asked her curiously, getting her to shake her head. You proved you were worthy, maybe not to yourself, but these rings picked you and you are worthy and a green lantern, Aya, he said as Aya was amazing. Thank you, Naruto. Aya said to him with a smile. No need to thank me, fellow Green Lantern. Naruto asked with a smile, glad that Aya wasn't saying Green Lantern in front of his name. I am more than my programming. Aya said to him with a smile, feeling a warmth inside her. I'm here if you ever have nightmares, Aya. Naruto said, giving her a hug. Friends help friends, he said in total and pure honesty. Yes. Aya said to him with a smile. Next day. Mind if I get a history lesson? Naruto asked Razor curiously. About? Razor asked, raising a brow, wondering what Naruto needed from him. You mentioned orange energy a while back, what is that? Naruto asked him as after having green, red, and yellow he was wondering what else he could add to his arsenal. Is this whole team uneducated? Razor asked him seriously. Me not so much, the others not counting Aya maybe. Naruto said as Kilowag was a great warrior but scholar not so much, and Howled Up was himself. The orange energy belongs to the Orange Lantern Corp. They were ruthless and stronger than Atrocitus, and that says a lot as he beat the emotional avatar of Rage, something I heard you tapped into. Razor said to him, remembering the day they met. Great, more questions for me. Naruto said, not knowing about emotional avatars. Let's skip ahead, where are they located? He asked him curiously. Okara. Razor said to him as the planet was said to be cursed. Naruto sent an appreciative nod as he went to think. 1 hour later. What does orange mean? Naruto thought as the colors of emotion were confusing now, as he actually remembered Sai telling him when he did his art about colors, and remembered when he talked about the colors he and Sakura wore. Orange means happiness, creativity, and avarice, it calls attention and longing and greed. He thought, remembering how Sai said that was his basic personality. What will I find there? He thought to himself, wondering about the lantern light of his favorite color. Next day. What? Drusa asked him, sitting in her prison cell. I need your help. Naruto said to her, undoing her restraints. With? Drusa asked him curiously, raising a brow, wondering what he could want from her. Okara. Naruto said to her. You want me to go on a suicide mission to that death trap? Drusa said with a chuckle, as the planet was insane, as it was basically haunted. Better than rotting away in prison or back with the spear psycho. Naruto says with a shrug. Drusa had to give him that as he made a point. Why must we take her? Aya asked as Naruto invited her along. She's smart, resourceful, and if I'm being honest, I have a gut feeling about something. Naruto said to her. Define gut feeling. Aya asked in annoyance. Now you're learning. Naruto said with a chuckle as Aya was a little miffed he dodged her question. 1 hour later. Why away from the city? Aya asked him curiously as Naruto wanted to land a good distance away. Good to not be seen by any possible enemies, and it's late here, not a good idea to operate in unknown territory in the dark. Naruto said as he made camp and a fire. Few minutes later. Let me ask you something. Drusa asked him curiously, who are you? I can tell you're like me, she said to him simply. Wrong, he is nothing like you. Aya said with a glare. She's right, Aya. Naruto said to her, in my old life I was basically a mercenary, I fought and knew how to kill, he said to her as that was the gist of it all. And yet. Drusa said referring to his ring, how'd you not end up like me, she asked curiously wondering what the difference between them was. Easy, I knew who I wanted to be and what I wanted and took control of my life. Naruto said to her as at the end of it all it came down to a choice. Drusa was a little quiet hearing that as all her life she had her choices stolen from her in one way or the other. You are none of those things, you are a hero. Aya said to him as. She didn't think he was anything that he said. Thanks. Naruto said to her as it was a nice compliment. Next morning. So what did you actually want besides being a hacker? Naruto asked as they walked inside the city trying to make small talk. I guess freedom. Drusa said to him as she had nothing for so long, I guess I wanted more, she said to him. Naruto saw it as somewhat ironic someone wanted more on the planet belonging to a lantern energy that was greed. Greed. Aya said simply. I want things. Naruto said to her, I want the happiness of those I care about, he said as that was something he really wanted. Greed implies selfishness, but that is noble. Aya said to him. Is it truly not selfish to want your friends and people you care about to always be happy? Naruto asked as it was a question whether if it was a selfish or selfless act, but it was in fact something that stemmed from greed, want, and longing. All I ever wanted was everything. Drusa said in honesty as she wanted more for her life. I am somewhat content. Aya said to them. Only somewhat? Naruto asked curiously. Shut up. Drusa said as she listened, and soon they found an entrance to a lower catacombs. Stay here. Naruto said to them as he went down lower. Mine, he is mine, a loud roar said as Naruto appeared in snake-like eyes. With Naruto. Naruto felt a little on edge as his instincts were screaming as he walked. He saw certain things, money, jewels, his favorite foods, him surrounded by women. Seriously, he asked as he had done genjutsu better than this and he sucked at genjutsu. You can't have my shiny, a rabid smelly animalistic orange lantern said charging at Naruto, but Naruto knocked him out. Psycho. Naruto said as he kept walking. A battery, he said seeing a powerful looking battery and he approached it. I don't need or want any of that, he said pointing his ring at the core and he saw a small image of a snake appear in it. Yes, I can give you it all, just be min. Wait, what did you say? The snake said in shock. I said I don't need that, I am content with what I have. Naruto said with a smirk. But I want you, the snake said in anger. May you gotta share me then as I have other lantern energy in me as well. Naruto says. But I don't want to share, the snake said acting like a child. Well, it's either you share or you don't get me at all. Naruto said giving him an ultimatum. Fine, I will share, but I don't like it, the snake said settling. Naruto's suit became pure orange, even his eyes glowing. He walked away and soon bent down and saw piles of orange lantern rings. I wonder, he said to himself as he took one. Few minutes later. Power increase detected. Aya said scanning Naruto. Whoa. Drusa said as this suit looked more defined. Hey, catch. Naruto said to her tossing her an orange ring. Put it on, he said to her. Error rings choose the wielder. Aya said to him as that was a fundamental truth. True, But Razor once said when he got his ring it was Atrocitus' voice he heard and he dominated the emotion of rage. I just talked to the emotion of greed and wanna see if I have this ability. Naruto said to her as it would bolster their numbers and give them a slight edge. Drusa slowly put it on and glowed orange but didn't gain a suit. I think Naruto is hot and my type, he's dangerous and has skill nothing like most idiots like Zartok, and I wanna FIA preferably with her dominating me. Oh god, that body, I wanna learn every inch of her, learn her ins and outs, she said and soon stopped glowing before looking at them and blushed. What was that? She asked in shock and embarrassment. No idea and I don't know how to answer that. Naruto said to her a bit confused as to why the ring made her confess that. I will take your request under consideration. Aya said, shocking the two others from the team and causing Naruto facepalm as he had a feeling this was going to bite him in the ass somehow. Keep that ring on you, it may not be working yet, but maybe it needs a charge or you haven't hit that point yet. Naruto said to Drusa as he was guessing there was a threshold one needed to be at to use the rings. 1 hour later. Everyone on deck. Naruto said to them simply. What's up? Hal asked him as everyone came on deck. I'm leaving to go to the shard. Naruto said as everyone looked at him about if he was insane. Have you lost your flipping mind? Kilowag said to him in anger, have you been hanging with Jordan, you taking the same stuff he is? He asked, shaking him violently as if trying to literally knock some sense into him. I need to do this, Atrocitus feels this kinship with me. It can help us if we figure out if we know what he knows. Naruto said to them. It may work. Atrocitus was happy when he sensed Naruto. Razor said to them, if he does this he'll have to commit, he said to them as they all knew what that simple phrase implied. Naruto, all these people are killers. If you go undercover you will have to betray the Green Lantern Code. Kilowag said to him. Naruto, it's your call, you sure you can do this, that you want to do this? Hal asked him seriously. I'll do it. Naruto said as his multicolored uniform went from its usual colors to red. If you can steal me a battery, that'd be helpful. Razor said to him as he was low on charge. I'll see what I can do. Naruto said to him as he flew out. Just so you all know, there is a huge chance this will fail and we will all die. Razor said to them, fairly confident in that statement. My calculations say Naruto has about a 22% chance of success, Aya said to them, not liking those odds. I've had less. Hal said, getting dry looks from the others. 1 hour later. Better make a show. Naruto thought as he made it to Shard and immediately got spotted. He was being tailed by red lanterns. He went to the main battery being threatened. Razor, I'll kill you if this fails, with BLD and Rage of Crimson Red, ripped from a corpse so freshly dead, together with our hellish hate, we'll burn you all, that is your fate, he said as the main battery basically flooded Shard in crimson light. The red lanterns backed away as no one had ever seen the battery act like that ever before. Where is Atrocitus? Naruto said as he asked Kurama to have a steady flow of his raw chakra flow through him, giving him his friend's fox eyes, making him look more beast-like and radiate rage. Few minutes later. Hello brother. Atrocitus said, seeing Naruto and smile, I can see your rage ooze off of you. Welcome to the Red Lantern Corps, he said to him walking to Naruto. Sir, are you sure he was our enemy, a Green Lantern? Zoc said to him in a whisper before screaming as a giant clawed hand grabbed him and saw Naruto pull him closer. If I was the enemy you'd be dead. Naruto said with a smile in a very calm and gentle tone of voice, so I'll let you get away with that remark this time, he said to Zoc, seeing him relax before screaming as Naruto squeezed him, the nails slightly digging into Zoc's, but make more comments like that and I will squeeze a little harder next time and this room will have a fresher coat of red, he said, seeing Zoc's look at him in terror. Are we clear? He said in a stern tone of voice. Yes, welcome to the Red Lantern Corps. Zoc said quickly as Naruto let him go and he went far behind Atrocitus. Impressive. Atrocitus said with a chuckle as he respected such acts of brutality even if that was a more passive one. I'll be taking some quarters. Naruto said as he went and stole Razor's room, having his permission, and he told him where the battery was hidden. Next day. Naruto woke up early and headed out and looked around Shard and passed by some people and soon found himself in a church. Not the worst drawings, he thought as he saw the drawings on the stained glass windows and had seen how make drawings of a certain guardian like that. "What are you doing here?" a slug-like creature said to Naruto. "I am merely looking around, sir." Naruto said to him, trying to be polite. "Do I look like a sir to you?" "I'm Cleric Lauren." Lauren said to Naruto as he inspected him, "I know you, the Green Lantern that joined the Reds," he said to Naruto calculatively. "Mind telling me what this is?" Naruto asked him curiously, wondering the story behind the glass. "See, those guardians fail to give you an education, boy. Well, let me teach you something," Lauren said as he began to preach to Naruto about the origins of the Red Lanterns, the atrocities committed by the Guardians and their manhunters, and finally Atrocitus's crusade to wipe out the Guardians. Naruto was no fool. He knew the Guardians had dirty laundry but decimating an entire sector of space. "May I ask a question, Lauren?" he asked him politely. "You may," Lauren said to him, actually seeming to welcome his questioning nature. "How were the Red Lanterns chosen?" Naruto asked him curiously, wondering how angry someone needed to be. "Well, after Atrocitus had conquered the emotion of rage, he began choosing his champions that like him harbored immense rage," Lauren said to him. "And before Atrocitus?" Naruto asked him, seeing Lauren think as Naruto wondered how the lanterns were chosen before Atrocitus took power. "I am unsure. I believe that the ring has chosen those who had suffered from injustice, as no rage is truer than when the innocent suffer," Lauren said to him. "I very much agree with that, sir," Naruto said as he just got a brief flash of his childhood and Nagato's. Perhaps there was at least one Green Lantern worth having," Lauren said, moving away. 1 hour later. "Hey," a giant hulking figure said, walking to Naruto. "Great, the Red Lantern version of Kilowag." Naruto thought to himself as the lantern walked to him. "Can I help you?" he asked, seeing the figure stand before him as if trying to intimidate him. "Training, punk, let's see what you got," the figure said to him. "By the end of this you'll fear the name Skalix," he said to him. Few minutes later. Naruto saw all the Red Lanterns that were around an arena ring and were looking at him with interest. "You ready for some broken bones?" Skalix said to him as he chuckled darkly. "I've gotten worse, and hey, I'll make it interesting," Naruto said as he deactivated his ring. "You think you can beat me without your ring, punk?" Skalix said as he growled as he charged Naruto. Naruto smiled as he fell back and kicked the man in his chest. "When he got close, bigger enemy used their size against them," he said to him simply. Skalix got up and charged on all fours. "Really wish I had a cape," Naruto said as he stepped to the side, dodging him. Skalix had enough and started using his ring. Everyone watched, thinking Naruto was either finished or would have to use his ring, and were surprised when Naruto simply started weaving in and out of Skalix's saw blade, sword, and various other lethal constructs while running towards him. All too soon Naruto was in front of Skalix and reared his fist back before delivering a brutal haymaker to the Red Lantern's jaw, which audibly broke with a sickening crack, sending him flying into the wall, where he stuck for a moment before sliding down completely knocked out. "Anyone else want a shot?" Naruto asked, reactivating his ring. Next day. "I hear you have been making a name for yourself, Naruto," Atrocitus said to him with a smile. "I have a mission for you," he said in a more neutral tone. Naruto was afraid of this and wondered what his assignment would be. "I need you to find someone," Atrocitus said to him simply. "This man is a killer, SLV traitor, and a piece of some. I promised a Red Lantern he'd face his death," he said to Naruto. Maybe Lauren had the right idea, Naruto thought to himself, as that was as injustice as it got. "The Red Lantern in question will be joining you," Atrocitus said to him. "Please," he said, calling out. "Yes, Lord Atrocitus," Bleeze said, walking in, saluting him. She had E-cup melons, athletic and firm body with decent curves, and a round SNSL peach, though arguably her most notable/recognizable feature is the pair of bone wings on her back. "Your wish is about to be granted, and you will be accompanied by our newest addition," Atrocitus said, looking at Naruto. Naruto and Bleeze shared a silent look before they departed. 20 minutes later. Naruto and Bleeze flew in silence ever since they left Shard on this mission. Can I ask where we are going? Naruto asked as he was trailing behind Bleeze. My homeworld to search for clues. Bleeze said to him neutrally, not caring that he was a Green Lantern and was more focused on the mission. Can I just assume you don't like me? Naruto asked her. No. Bleeze said, not even needing to look at him to know he wanted more details. I do not know you and yet you are our enemy. I wish to make my own assessment, she said to him, getting a silent nod. 1 hour later. This place certainly praises the Reds. Naruto thought seeing a few banners here and there of the Red Lantern symbol and saw people cheer when they saw them, mostly for Bleeze. Follow me. Bleeze said as they flew closer to the buildings, landing on top of a fancy one. Mind telling me about who we're searching for? Naruto asked her curiously. I don't know his name, all I remember is his face. Bleeze said as she glowed red, practically bleeding out light. Naruto recognized that look as it was a look he and Sasuke would get for wanting payback. What did this man do exactly? He asked her curiously. He killed my mother and, Bleeze said angrily as she stuttered, he took my wings, she said as she sounded vulnerable for a moment. Naruto remembered that all the citizens they passed had bird wings and yet Bleeze had bat wings. Hope I know what I'm doing, he thought as he focused, no longer using Kurama's raw chakra but now its pure form, as he sent it through his ring and aimed it at Bleeze's wings. Hey, what are you? Bleeze said in discomfort before stopping as she felt a familiar sensation as she turned around and saw her bone wings expand and regrow black feathers. How? She asked as she flapped her wings, loving the flapping sound. Trade secret. Naruto said to her with a smile. Bleeze sighed as she was just glad to have her wings back, as this was the greatest thing to ever happen to her. Next day. You seem popular. Naruto said, seeing a lot of mail in her home which she soon set on fire. Marriage proposals. I was seen as the most appealing on my planet and becoming a lantern has made it worse, as now in addition to beauty I also have power. Bleeze said as she could rip a man in half and still be desired. Also I called in a favor, your target apparently did time in prison. Naruto said as he called the former Arachne prison and talked to the new warden, and he apparently had a hit on the prisoner. He was bailed out but is still in the sector, he said to her. Bleeze lost any sense of calm she had and flew out the window, Naruto hot on her tail. Let's see his cell, see if we can find anything, she said to him as they flew at incredible speeds. 1 hour later. And you're friends with this thing? Bleeze asked as the squid-like creature inked itself the moment it laid eyes on her. Think of it this way, he is either terrified of you or he was overwhelmed by your beauty. Naruto said with a smirk, as living in a village with kunoichi women taught him women love to be feared for their beauty and deadliness. Bleeze looked delighted by either of those options but leaned on liking the first more than the latter, as the thought of a disgusting little cretin like Gogen finding her attractive was something she didn't need to picture. Few minutes later. Yeah, he definitely went crazy in here. Naruto said as he noticed some things. You said he kept his headband on, he asked Gogen curiously. Yes, he kept it on his head even once breaking free from manacles, he said fear was power. Gogen said to them in his own terrified tone of voice. What even are these? Bleeze asked, inspecting the yellow crystals as they seemed powerful. Naruto kept his mouth shut on that subject for a magnitude of reasons. He always kept crystal on him, said he wanted more. Gogen said to him. Least we have something to track. Bleeze said as she broke a small piece of crystal off to use as a catalyst to track down others. Let's go. Naruto said, hearing a certain someone's whispers as he got near the crystals. They soon left and went to scan the crystals. Few hours later. What was she like, your mother? Naruto asked Bleeze curiously. I loved my mother. Despite her many faults. Bleeze said to him, she always wanted me to get engaged as we had an image to upkeep. I loved who I was and who I am now. Bleeze said as she was the rebellious one, not wanting to stick to tradition. What was yours like? She asked him curiously, not wanting to get nothing in return for the information she gave. That is a very complicated question. Naruto said as even upon his first meeting with her he knew his mother was very hard to place and define, but he tried the best he could to Bleeze. She sounds amazing, surprised she never got a ring. Bleeze said to him as Naruto explained her fierceness as a warrior and her anger over all, and it sounded like if her anger was greater than Naruto's she should have gotten a ring. Then the universe would have been in trouble. Naruto thought, as there was no doubt in his mind if his mother got a ring she'd own the Red Lantern Corps, and he was not kidding, as her anger was something to be feared. 1 hour later. There are only a few planets where the crystal is found. This is the highest concentration. Bleeze said to him as she brought up a star map where she had the energy of the crystals scanned. Let's go then. Naruto said, wanting to finish this mission quickly. Bleeze nodded as they left, flying towards the planet. 20 minutes later. Can you not try to kill everything? Naruto said as Bleeze wasn't much for nature, as she had tried to look for some food but ended up getting zapped and tried to burn down the local wildlife. It's pissing me off. Bleeze said as she tried to relax. Why are we even walking? She asked angrily. He could have a ship, and if he knows we're here or gets alerted by the natives he could be off planet and we wouldn't know it. Naruto said to her as it was a tracking method to make sure the enemy was unaware of their presence. Bleeze had to agree as it was a good argument. Come on. Naruto said to her. How do you know where we're going? Bleeze asked him curiously. This may sound odd but I can sense it. Naruto said, looking at his ring, which went yellow for a moment, though luckily Bleeze didn't notice. They both walked, reaching a valley, and soon saw many jellyfish-like creatures floating and collecting the yellow crystals. What are dash? Bleeze said, preparing her ring, but Naruto stopped her and took the fragment she had and gave it to a jellyfish, and soon after what seemed like an awkward pause it went away. I'm very confused, she said, not understanding. I am too. Naruto said as it was odd as they seemed very peaceful yet didn't like the crystals. Have you seen someone looking for these things? He asked, showing them the picture, not knowing if they could see, granted they didn't have eyes. The creatures huddled close to him and pointed in a certain direction. Thank you. Bleeze said as she was more grateful than they could know as they flew in that direction, and she felt her heart beat at an incredible pace and her body glow red again as all she wanted to do was kill the man. Naruto could feel the rage Bleeze let off as they landed and could even see the crystals begin to melt. No, my crystals, the man they were chasing said in terror. You. Bleeze said as she grabbed him with her ring. Look at me, she said as her glow shined brighter. You took everything from me, she said as she let out a few tears looking at the man who stole her mother from her. My crystals, he said over and over again, his mind lost to fear and insanity. Bleeze got even angrier as she looked at him. Naruto grabbed Bleeze and flew up as her rage melted the crystals, making a yellow lava. Bleeze just threw the man in, giving him what he wanted, thinking that is what he deserved, and the screams as he suffered melting away were like music to her ears. With Razor. Great to be back here. Razor said sarcastically as he was back at the prison with Hal and Kilowag. And you have no idea where they went? Hal asked Gogen as he called them and told them Naruto was here as a Red Lantern. No, Gogen was afraid the Red Lady would kill him. Gogen said to him. I think he means Bleeze. Razor said to them, knowing of so few Red Lanterns and barely knew any that served Atrocitus as well as her. Any information we can get? Hal asked him, wondering about Naruto's status. She is one of the more civil Red Lanterns, but also the deadliest. Her rage has been said to be second to Atrocitus himself. Razor said to him, and if I'm correct they may be partners, he said, as Atrocitus had made it to partner up certain Red Lanterns or group them for certain missions like he and Zox. Everyone silently wished for the best for Naruto in his mission. Next day. Naruto, thank you. Bleeze said as they returned to Shard. No problem. Naruto said, walking away. Bleeze watched him walk away and went to Atrocitus' location. How did our new recruit perform? Atrocitus asked Bleeze, trusting her opinion more than the others who feared him. He was brutal when the time required. We found the target and watched him burn, my lord. Bleeze said with a vindictive satisfaction. Atrocitus seemed pleased by the answer. With Naruto. Thank F. Kilowag knows Morse code. Naruto thought as he was on a ring call to Kilowag and was not actually talking, merely doing ring flashes as any sound he made, or talking when he was unsure if Atrocitus bugged his room. This seemed like the safest way of communication with the others. I have gotten loyalty, will broadcast single whenever safe, many eyes on me, keep hidden from reds, believe you are all dead, slap Hal in the face. Aya said, translating the code from Kilowog's ring flashes. Wait, what was that last dash? Hal was saying before Kilowog jumped at the opportunity to slap Hal in the face. Razor was pleased with this announcement, especially when Naruto left his battery with the new prison warden. He's doing better than expected. He thought, his respect for Naruto rising as he was actually doing well infiltration-wise. Few days later. Naruto didn't know whether to feel pride in his infiltration, as he had gotten the respect of all Red Lanterns here, achieving a decent standpoint in the infiltration, or disgust as he felt like he was actively dying inside as he was beginning to want to fight more, feeling the effects of Butcher and Atrocitus noticed this as well and showed him where he kept prisoners and had them all executed in brutal fashions, as the man made him smell and take in the smell of all their BLD, the sheer heat from their BLD as the floor puddled quickly. I need to get the F out of here and soon. Naruto thought, as one of the few things allowing him to keep his sanity was training to wean off the BLDLST and Bleeze, as actual companionship made this more tolerable. 3 weeks later. You belong at my side, brother. Why serve those blue imps when you can conquer? Atrocitus said as he and Naruto battled. You assholes better be ready. Naruto said as he entered Tailed Beast state, sending out a mighty roar in his multicolored form, causing the power to waver if only for a moment, allowing him to escape. 1 hour later. I can honestly say I thought you were gonna die. Razor said to Naruto as he entered the ship. And I can honestly say that mission sucked. Naruto said as he crashed on the floor. Why does Kilowag look how I feel? He asked, seeing his friend was depressed. Got his heart broken, had to leave a girl he really liked. Hal said, simply feeling bad for his friends and their emotional and physical states. Ouch, sorry man, but hey, I got a story to tell, Naruto said as he knew Kilowag liked stories of battle. 1 week later. Naruto slept in his room peacefully as his mind drifted, no longer plagued to hear the screams that filled Shard. Naruto felt a little annoyed as he felt something on his chest and was continuously hitting him in the face, and when he opened his eyes he saw an infant that looked oddly familiar. Dada, the baby girl said to him with a smile as it continued to lightly hit him in the face. Either I am dreaming or I am being punked. Naruto thought as he moved slightly, holding on to the infant that seemed to be a mix of his and Kat's features. Fly, the infant said to him, raising her arms, and looked at him expectantly. Hal, I swear to God, if this is a joke you are dead. Naruto said, using his ring to make the baby fly. Morning dear, it's about time you woke up from your nap. Naruto hears a voice before turning to see Katma walking into the room holding another infant, this one a boy that shares his and Kat's features. I will never tell Yolandi about this. Naruto thought, seeing his ring and a ring on her finger, I'm a dead man if she finds out, he thought to himself, realizing this was in fact a dream. However, he hears another voice, be easy on him Cat, after all, our king had a very exhausting night, causing him to look to the side to see none other than Yolandi herself walk out into the room wearing a nearly see-through negligee gown, carrying yet another infant boy, this one a mix of her and Naruto's features. Well, I am either having some kind of fantasy or I'm being punked. Naruto said before noticing they all had pink eyes. And just what is that supposed to mean, mister? Katma asked in a dangerous tone while narrowing her eyes at him. I'm nothing dear. Naruto says with a gulp at seeing his wife start to get angry, which was never a good thing for his well-being. Think we finally blew his brains out. Bleeze said, walking in. Okay, it's official, I blame Hal. Naruto said as he blamed Hal for this, thinking this was his fault. Well, he did drag you into a lot of stuff, though he isn't to blame this time given he has his hands full with Carol at the moment. Yolandi says with a chuckle, confusing Naruto as his queen of a wife had never met Carol before. Okay, this is a dream, gotta be. Naruto said as he tried to rationalize all of this. Suddenly Naruto's attempts to rationalize what was going on were broken by the sound of a doorbell. Ah, the others must be back. Bleeze says, causing Naruto to blink and think, others, as he turns to look at the opening door only to be blinded by a pink light and a loud roar. The ship. Naruto woke up and breathed heavily as he wondered what the hell happened and felt very tense as he spotted a very noticeable tent under his sheets. I need some sleep, he thought to himself as his tenseness slowly died. He couldn't stop the sound of small giggle belonging to the children from his dream and felt a little tortured as he always wanted family. On a very pink planet a certain pink ring user was walking and noticed a certain crystal glow, and in it she saw a handsome blonde man and was in awe as she was mesmerized by his image. As she looked at his image as the crystal's light died down, she didn't notice there was a creature's image inside the crystals around her before it seemed to follow her before it faded. Next day. What happened to you? Hal asked, seeing Naruto looked like a mess. Burning hormones. Naruto said as he worked out to try and kill his lust and longing. Hal laughed as he heard that. What's wrong, missing your queenie? He asked in a teasing tone, getting a sucker punch as a response. Jordan on the floor, what a great way to start the day. Kilowag said, his spirits slightly raised at seeing the sprawled out form of said lantern. 1 hour later. You guys think this is weird? Naruto said to the others on the ship as the group were following a pair of pink lanterns, or as they were apparently called, Star Sapphires, named Queen Agapa and Nalaenge, towards their home planet of Zamran. I just agreed because of the appealing company. Hal said jokingly. Hey, how come you didn't gain any pink yet? He asked Naruto curiously. I need a ring, battery, or a crystal. Naruto said to him simply. Seriously? Razor asked, as that may have been hard. Consider the first was impossible unless chosen, the second being difficult since most of them were guarded by the respective lantern worlds, and the third was, as far as he could tell, rare or a myth, as the art of ring making from crystals had been said to be a closely guarded secret even by Atrocitus. They were all taken out of their thoughts as they landed and saw miles and miles of endless crystals. Well, this could make things easy. Naruto said with a deadpan, seeing the countless crystals. Few minutes later. Why aren't you absorbing the power? Razor asked Naruto agitatedly, as he thought this would have been done by now. Look. Naruto said, looking at the guards and the lanterns. Kinda weird that they are all women and there are no men, he said to him. Razor had to admit that was odd, as he was positive the rings had no preference on SEC. Perhaps the emotion of love was conquered like how Atrocitus conquered rage, he said, as that was his only conclusion. No, I don't feel that. Naruto said, as he felt no one like Atrocitus with his ring or empath powers. You're being watched. Razor said, seeing a woman look toward Naruto. They both subtlety looked at a crystal and focused on the reflection, seeing a woman hiding staring at Naruto. Her ring is glowing. Razor said in inspection of the image. Oh my grots, he said in realization. Great, he has a fan, he thought to himself, not wasting his time on that. Throne room. Strange. Queen Agapa said as she focused on Naruto, seeing the crystals near him glow brightly as he passed. Perhaps I need to tend to this one myself, she said, as if the crystals had such a positive reaction she could only imagine the power she and the others would receive. Not to mention this male was rather attractive. Few minutes later. What the hell? Naruto said in confusion, seeing an image inside the crystals and moved through them. I swear if this is another parallax I will kill someone, he said to himself, taking a deep breath. Rather tense, aren't you? Agapa said to him, bringing him a very large pink drink. Not even trying to hide it. Naruto thought, seeing many women carry many drinks here, none as pink as the one in his hands. Sorry but no thanks, you're not my type, he said, as many glasses breaking was heard, not the ones in Agapa's hands but the staff nearby. As they were completely shocked, Naruto turned down their queen, the most appealing in their opinion of any of their fellow sapphires. I think your niece is very pretty though, he said, sending her a flirty wink, seeing her face turn as bright as her ring. They watched him walk away as if nothing was wrong. Gotta find a place to get some of this pink energy and find out what the hell that thing was, Naruto thought to himself. Few minutes later. He doesn't find me attractive, Agapa said, wrecking her throne room. He must prefer the same SEC, she said out loud before getting angry as he looked at her niece, even stated it before her. Gyata, I want you to use your ring and look into his mind. I want to see who and what he finds attractive, she said as she grinded her teeth. But my queen, that is unnecessary. He stated that he found me attractive. Gyata said, still having a blush on her face. Agapa stops destroying her throne room for a moment as she realizes that Gyata tells the truth. In her rage at being denied by Naruto, she had completely forgotten that he said he found her niece more attractive. Very well then, Gyata, you are to stuck him using any means necessary. I don't care what it takes, you will succeed in this, do you understand? Agapa says sternly, refusing to have the power boost slip away and not to mention the slight against her slide. My queen, surely if we were to simply ask how Naruto does what he does regarding the crystals, he would be willing to tell us. Gyata says, trying to go a diplomatic route instead of a manipulative one. No, that is not our way, and the insult he has made against myself and by extension all sapphires will not go unpunished. You will do as I say or you will be sent to the re-education room for punishment. Agapa commands, causing Gyata's eyes to widen in shock and horror given what happens in that room. Very well, as you command, my queen. Gyata says somberly before leaving the room to carry out her mission despite how much she dislikes it. A certain emotional entity didn't like what was going on, having grown tired of how its chosen had been perv its aspect over time, and decided now was the time to act. With Naruto. Hope this works. Naruto said, finding a crystal, holding it in his hand to absorb its power only for nothing to happen. The hell, this worked last time, he said as he remembered his meeting with Parallax. Not so fast, champion, there is more to my trial than just finding my power. Predator said as he did appear in the ring but had yet to bestow his power. The entity then exerted a little bit of its power, nudging a certain sapphire in Naruto's direction. Oh great, the cryptic one. Ion said as he was as bad as Parallax sometimes. Kill. Butcher said in rage. Love and war. Adara thought as there was no truer meaning than this. With Naruto. Maybe I need a lantern battery. Naruto thought as maybe there was something off with these crystals as they reacted to him, but not in the usual way. Hello Naruto. Gyata said, arriving with 2 drinks that were the same color. Oh hey Gyata, what do you have there? Naruto asks, wondering what the drinks she was holding were. You had not eaten or drank, I thought I'd service you. I can also show you some of Zamoran's sights if you like. Gyata said, saying service a bit more seductively. Hearing the stuck tone of her voice caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow before he shrugged it off and taking one of the drinks from her. That sounds great, lead the way, oh great tour guide, Naruto says with a small and overly dramatic bowing flourish, causing Gyata to giggle as she began leading him on the tour. With Agapa. Finally. Agapa thought as Naruto seemed to be finally weakening. He's stronger than all the men here, she thought as his power and spirit spoke for themselves as it was leagues above any of the other men that had come to Zamoran. Soon that power will be ours, and maybe I will use him to sate my needs on occasion and show him his place beneath me, she thought lustfully, running her hands up and down her body. Unknown to the leader of the Star Sapphires, the crystals became slightly brighter, the image of the predator briefly appearing, anger visible in its eyes. With Naruto. He's so calming. Gyata thought, wondering if she had fallen prey to her planet's crystal food and drink instead of him falling prey to it. Naruto felt a little relaxed, especially when Gyata rubbed her hands against his temple, giving him a massage as they sat on a large bed-like circular couch. With Agapa. He has known much heartache. Agapa said as she saw his love life or lack thereof from a young age to his adult life, and it made even her heart clench. Interesting, he has both unrealized romance and actual love, she said, seeing Katma, and the memories Naruto consciously failed to realize were romantic, and spur-of-the-moment spontaneous love, yet still real. She said, seeing his wedding, admiring his appearance, then blushed as she watched the wedding night between him and the Yolandi. Agapa thinks to herself for a moment on which one she should bring into play, as both were viable candidates. Best to go with unrealized romance, as a queen suddenly disappearing may bring too much unwanted attention to us, she said as she also wondered what had happened, inviting a lantern of a different color to the Star Sapphires. Stay, the female guardians said to the male ones, as there had been a detection of the Star Sapphires and the male guardians had fallen prey to their advances more than once. Naruto's room. Katma laid on the bed unrestfully as she missed Naruto, as being here helped slightly as she was surrounded by his things. She teared up slightly, feeling like an idiot. Why didn't I go with him, and why didn't I tell him? She thought in pain, feeling her heart ache. Katma. Predator said to her as the portal opened and the ring went on her finger, making the Green Lantern's eyes glow pink. Zamarin. Gyata was continuing her massage on Naruto, having moved from his head to his broad shoulders and back. You are quite muscular, she comments, feeling his hard muscles beneath his uniform. Thanks, I work out a lot, need to be in top shape to take on all the various threats and danger out there. Naruto said as it had been a while since he last took it easy. As Gyata continued her massage, she failed to notice her ring leak, a pink mist that made its way into both hers and Naruto's noses, causing their eyes to glow pink. See the power and potential for your love, my children. Naruto and Gyata spent the next month getting to know each other, spending many hours talking, walking around the palace, flying out to various points on Zamarin to have picnics, and ultimately just growing closer. With Aya. Odd. Aya said as she was detecting Naruto's brain waves, and it seemed like his mind was operating faster than usual, as if it were a computer. Naruto smiled happily as he was cooking with Gyata, who was completely clueless at cooking and more than once got food on either or both of them soon. It escalated into a food fight. Gyata marveled as she looked up to the sky, laying on Naruto's chest, feeling his warmth and his heart beating. On a clear starry night the two stood watching a meteor shower, and Naruto chose that moment to propose to Gyata, to which she joyously accepted before the two shared a kiss. A month after the proposal, Naruto and Gyata wed in a ceremony presided over by Queen Agapa. Naruto carried Gyata in his arms bridal style through their new house on Zamarin, the two still in their wedding clothes. As Naruto carried her towards their bedroom, Gyata had her arms wrapped around his neck with her head resting on his shoulder. I love you. Gyata said as the non-power ring on her finger spoke volumes, as it was as simple as it was appealing, and there was even an inscription, "The love that powers my ring," she read, as it was very romantic, and the gem was a fusion of the lantern colors, never staying just one. And I love you, my shining sapphire. Naruto says as they reached the bedroom, and upon reaching the foot of their bed Naruto sets Gyata down, allowing her to stand. The two stand there for a moment just lovingly staring at each other before they lean in and their lips lock in a loving kiss as they wrap their arms around each other. The two savor the taste of each other, their tongues dancing and the scent of each other filling the other's nostrils as they lose themselves in their love. Though before long their kiss is broken due to their needing of air. Gyata as she felt Naruto undo her wedding dress, causing it to fall to the floor, revealing her small white mesh dress lingerie, easily able to show she had no br and wore frilly and silky panties, and with matching stockings. She did the same to him, removing his suit, leaving him in his black boxers. The newlyweds resumed their kissing, this time while running their hands up and down the other's body, feeling every muscle in the case of Naruto, or the smooth soft flawless skin in the case of Gyata. As they continued their passionate kissing and caressing, they slowly made their way back towards the edge of the bed until the backs of Gyata's knees hit it, stopping them and breaking their pleasurable trance. Naruto brought his hands up to the shoulder straps of Gyata's mesh dress and pushed them to the side, and soon it slid down her shoulders as they kissed, revealing her full melons to him. He then reached down to her stockings and undid the clasp connecting them before he brought his hands up, lifting the mesh dress up and over her head, leaving her chest bare to him. Gyata, seeing herself bare, blushed heavily before pulling down his boxers, freeing his PP from his PP. I love you, Naruto, you are my life, my sunlight to every day, and the strength I draw from, she said lovingly as her eyes shined pink. And I love you, my shining sapphire that is the beacon of my life, guiding me home safely. Naruto said as she gently laid her down onto the bed and crawled on top of her so that they were once more eye level. Leaning down, Naruto kissed her lips before he began trailing kisses down her body, starting at her chin, then collarbone, sternum, stopping briefly at her melons to kiss around her pink areolas before giving each NPL a light SCK, causing her breath to hitch. However, Naruto didn't linger on her melons and instead continued his way down to her flat stomach, kissing it while giving her belly button a little lick, causing her to giggle before he made it to her clothed PP, kissing it through the fabric, getting from his wife. Naruto then brought her legs up to rest on his shoulders, trailing kisses up her thighs as he reached up and began removing her panties as she helped by lifting her peach for him. Gyata blushed heavily at her sacred garden being fully exposed to her husband. Naruto gazed upon his wife's untouched garden. "You are truly appealing, my love, and I am going to show you the love that you deserve," he said before leaning down, causing her to blush harder. Gyata's breath hitched in her throat as she felt her husband's tongue make contact with the outer petals of her PP, sending euphoric bliss shooting through her body. Over and over she was rocked by pleasure as Naruto earnestly feasted upon her PP, running his tongue along the outer layer before plunging it into its center, causing her to arch her back upwards in bliss and release a thready Naruto ran his tongue along the interior of her tunnel, gliding it across her slick and pulsing tight walls as he drank the nectar that was seeping out, the sweet taste hitting his taste buds and making him feast upon her even more fervently so as to get more. Hearing his wife wantonly in pleasure invigorated Naruto to increase the intensity of his feasting as he as well, sending vibrations up his tongue and into her core. This sudden vibration resulted in Gyata throwing her back into the pillow, arching her back high, and grinding her PP into Naruto's face as she locked her legs behind his head, pulling him closer and deeper into her pages. Seeing that his wife was nearing her edge, Naruto pulled his tongue out of her dripping wet cave and lightly blew on the bundle of nerves above it before lightly biting down on it. The result of this was explosive to say the least, as Gyata's eyes went wide as she stared unfocused at the ceiling of the bedroom, her mouth hanging open as she let out a euphoric scream as her entire body was racked with pleasure. Her peach and legs spasmed and trembled as her love nectar shot out of her and into Naruto's face, upon which he began lapping it up. "That was indescribable," Gyata says, breathless after her entire being was rocked by the massive CLMX that her husband had given her. Her peach and legs still shook in phantom tinglings of pleasure. Naruto smiled hearing this before he crawled up her body and gave her sweat-glistening forehead a kiss before smiling lovingly down at her. "I am glad you enjoyed it, my love," he says earnestly. "Do you want me to do you now?" Gyata asks with a blush covering her face as she looks down at Naruto's very large and throbbing PP. "How will that even fit inside me?" she thinks to herself, amazed by the size and girth of it. Naruto gives Gyata a quick peck on the lips after hearing her question. "Maybe next time, as tonight is all about you, my radiant sapphire. Are you ready to consummate our marriage fully?" he says, waiting for her to be ready before they start the horizontal dance of love. "Yes, my blazing sun, I am ready," Gyata says, leaning up slightly to gently press her lips to Naruto in a tender kiss before laying her head back down on the pillow. Seeing his wife ready for him, Naruto slowly began to insert his PP into her tight wet tunnel. Gyata let out a as she felt the thick head of his PP part her lips before slowly sliding in her, followed by the both of which were spreading her tight tunnel to accommodate his girth. Slowly and steadily Naruto continued his insertion, pausing when he saw his wife wince in any sort of pain, only resuming when she looked ready. For the next 10 minutes Naruto slowly worked his PP into Gyata until he bottomed out in her tunnel, the head of his PP prodding against her CRVX, causing jolts of pleasure to rock Gyata every time it twitched. Looking into Gyata's eyes, Naruto only sees love and readiness in them, so leaning down he captures her lips with his, igniting a passionate and fiery kiss, their tongues intertwining as he slowly begins rocking his hips back and forth and their lovemaking begins. Over and over Naruto rocked his hips, sliding his PP back and forth within Gyata's tight tunnel as he simultaneously claimed her upper lips as well, and she into his mouth. Gyata ran her hands through his sunny blonde hair as he legs wrapped around his waist and locking behind his back, securing him in place as she started rolling her peach in time to meet his, aiding in his PP plundering of her tight tunnel, the walls of which tightening and undulating, refusing to let go of him. Over and over she felt his PP touch upon her inner door, with each invading move prodding it more and more as the door got weaker and weaker, as she felt his PP throb and twitch more and more and with increasing intensity. Ultimately her inner door finally gave way and the head PP breached her inner sanctum, where it came to be lodged snugly as her door immediately clamped down on his, locking it in place. The sudden breach sent pleasure surging through both husband and wife as Gyata's tunnel clamped down on her husband's like a vice, her wall undulating along it as her nectar squirted out around the base of it and up into her husband's groin as she and screamed into his mouth, tightly gripping his hair as her whole body trembled and shook. Naruto meanwhile grunted into his wife's mouth as his PP bludged inside her before it began depositing its thick and gooey juices into her over and over. His hips gave little thrsts with each firing, making sure his essence was fired as deep as possible into her tightness. On and on this continued as the two furiously kissed each other as Gyata's belly gained a slight bump due to the sheer amount of seed being planted in her garden. Nearing the end of their CLMX, Gyata had a noticeable bump in her belly as their combined fluids managed to slightly leak out from their joined hips and travel down her before landing on the bed, where it made a noticeable wet spot on the bed. Finally breaking their lip lock, husband and wife panted heavily, never breaking eye contact as they stared at each other lovingly. "How was that, my love?" Naruto asks, running his hands through her lavender-colored hair. "It was indescribable, my love." Gyata responds breathlessly, honestly having the words to describe how pleasurable and satisfying their coupling was. "Well, I am pleased to hear that you enjoyed it, my dear," Naruto says with a chuckle and smile before he leans back so he is sitting on his knees taking Gyata with him. The sudden movement got a "eep" and from the Zamoronian as his PP was still firmly lodged in her tunnel. Naruto, in an impressive display of strength and fluidness, then shifted them around so his back was to the pillows before lying down with Gyata now firmly atop him, all without removing his PP from within her. Gyata giggled at the amused look on Naruto's face before she looked over to the nightstand by the bed where a single pink and purple swirl-colored mango-shaped fruit sat. Reaching over, she picked up the fruit to Naruto's amusement and held it to her lips before lightly kissing it. On Zamorn we have one final custom to fully solidify the union between husband and wife. After the first round of copulation and flowing of essence, we each kiss and then take a bite of the sacred swirling love fruit, which will heighten our pleasure and complete our joining, she says, explaining the fruit. Then, as custom dictates, we should partake of the fruit. Naruto says with a smile as he is a little curious to see how the fruit would affect them. Smiling as she hears this, Gyata bites down on the fruit, its pink juices leaking out onto her chin as she tears off a chunk of its flesh and begins chewing it before she eats it. Handing the fruit to Naruto, he repeats her action and tears off a chunk of the fruit's flesh as well, juices leaking onto his chin as he chews and eats what is in his mouth before placing the fruit back on the nightstand. The two simply sit there for a moment before they jolt as they feel the fruit take effect, and they begin breathing heavily as their pupils dilate. Suddenly Gyata leans down and the newlyweds begin furiously kissing each other, their tongues battling like a pair of snakes before disengaging as they proceed to lick the fruit juice off the mouth of the other. Gyata began bouncing her peach on Naruto's, reigniting their love make with an inferno of passion as Naruto brought his hands down to her plump jiggling peach cheeks and gripped them, guiding her along in her movements and making her move down harder, causing her to let out louder The two felt their lust swell as they increased their speeds, their act of love becoming more primal as they wanted more from the other, craving it hungrily, and despite the soreness they knew they'd feel from the aggressive acts of love, they kept going, not caring about the consequences that had come and cared merely about the other's pleasure. Both screamed in pleasure, feeling their climaxes approach, and took great pride in the pleasure they gave the other. "Now," Predator said as he opened a portal. "Back to reality." Naruto and Gyata felt themselves stir from their dream and looked at the other in a new light. They felt a pull toward the other, but they were interrupted by a portal, and out walked a Green Lantern Katma with Star Sapphire highlights in a smaller, much more revealing costume. The circle that was normally on her chest was a Star Sapphire symbol and the black was now pink. "Naruto," Katma said happily and froze as she saw the embrace Naruto was currently in with Gyata, and raised her ring, sending a fused blast knocking her back. "Cat," Naruto said in shock before getting punched in the face and sent flying into a wall. "I probably deserved that," he said to himself, not knowing what for, but felt he had it coming as he pulled himself from the wall. "I help you break out from OA to fight a war and you are here with her," Katma said in rage before launching herself at Naruto. "With Kilowag. I swear every time I go with you someone tries to kill us," Kilowag said, dodging blasts from Gallia, who had apparently become a Star Sapphire and imprisoned him in a pink crystal before Hell had found and freed him. "This is not my fault," Hell said, dodging blasts from Carol. "I tried to be diplomatic in this," he said to Kilowag. "Yeah, that was your first problem," Kilowag said to him, as Hal was many things but that ain't one of them. "Naruto," he said in relief before his eyes widened seeing Katma having a pink ring. "We need to get the hell off this planet," Naruto said to them as he was having enough of this. but soon saw that his friends were in a similar predicament. "Oh come on, what you do?" Kilowag asked, feeling like he joined a team of morons. "She found me with Gyata," Naruto said to them. "She's mad about that. Oh, we're gonna die if she finds out you're married," Kilowag said to him. "He's what?" Katma said, clearly hearing him as her blasts became even more powerful. "Thanks bud," Naruto said in a sarcastic tone, wondering how she was not chosen for a red ring instead of pink. "Hey Carol," he said to the only woman not trying to kill him. "Hey Naruto," Carol said, waving at him before blasting Hal. "Why does she like you more than me now?" Hal asked in annoyance. "We hung out a lot," Naruto said, as Carol was good company. "B," Katma said, blasting Carol. Hal breathed a sigh of relief before seeing a pink rope tied to his ankle. "Carol, we talked about this and agreed you can only tie me up on your birthday," Hal says before a pink hand construct slaps him in the face. "If we pretend we never saw that, do you think we can leave him?" Kilowag asked Naruto, getting a blank stare before he was tackled to the ground by his love. "Listen Kat, I've had enough," Naruto said, blasting her off of him. "You left and abandoned me," Katma said angrily. "You leave and just get married," she said, having tears in her eyes. "Did I just not matter to you?" she asked as she looked at him sadly. "Of course I care about you Kat, I didn't abandon you, there simply wasn't time in the chaos of leaving OA to pick you up. As for the whole marriage thing, I will admit it wasn't something that was planned out and more a spur-of-the-moment thing to prevent Yolandi from being forced into a loveless marriage that would give her husband control of her people, and it's partially Hal's fault, all Hal's fault," Naruto said to her as he moved closer to her, pulling her into a hug, not noticing his ring turning pink. Naruto was once again training Kat in the art of blades, smiling as she advanced quickly. Kat stole glances at Naruto as they were on their way to do a mission, which was an incredibly dangerous mission he decided he'd help her on. Naruto stole glances at Kat's toned plump behind as she flew in front of him on their way back to his house on OA to hang out after their most recent mission together. Kat leaned her head on a sleeping Naruto's shoulder, the blonde having passed out as they were watching a movie. Naruto carried Katma to her bed, placing her down, gently tucking her in, and before he could leave she unconsciously grabbed his wrist, not wanting him to leave, so he slept next to her, unknowingly making her feel both safe and loved. Back to reality. "I love you," Karma said sadly as she choked back a sad laugh filled with tears. "I love you too," Naruto said, holding her tightly. "We do need to have a long talk about this whole situation with you being married, though, not to mention little Miss Sapphire over there," Katma says with a strained smile and twinkling eyes, causing Naruto and Gyata to gulp before they were dragged off to the nearby bedroom, where the sounds of carnal pleasure soon began emitting from as the pink crystals around the room's entrance glowed blindingly bright for the next half a day. 12 hours later. "Did you seriously have to tell her?" Hal said with a slightly bruised face and an imprint of Carol's boot on his face. "Yes," Naruto and Kilowag said to him, as Carol was terrifying, which is why she and Katma were getting along so well. "What happened to the bro code?" Hal asked as he huffed. "Isn't there a rule where it says another man's woman is his own problem, not to involve his brothers?" Razor said to them, getting looks of shock that he knew something like that. "I asked Aya to look it up," he said as he got curious when Hal mentioned it before and actually found it humorous and agreed with it on many cases. "Wow, I'm speechless," Naruto said to them. "But yeah, he's right," he said to Hal as he was screwed. "Naruto," Katma said, calling out Naruto's name sternly. "Booyah, your turn," Hal said, punching him out the ship. "UPP," Naruto said, not expecting the tables to have turned that fast. "You are on your own," Kilowag said to him before being kicked out as well by Razor. "What was that for?" he asked angrily from the blind side. "Your mate is here, good luck," Razor said, sealing the ship. "Hal, I am curious regarding this bro code, is there a code for females?" Aya asked as Hal sighed heavily from inside the ship. "I can't imagine what's worse, watching you teach and fill in the parent role or watching them get their manhood tested," Razor said as he was caught between a rock and a hard place. Few days later. I swear Butcher is pissing me off. Naruto thought as Butcher had been on edge and it was annoying. I wonder why, he thought to himself as he had been having dreams and visions lately and gathered he was seeing the creatures of the emotions the rings represented. BF is blue, he thought, as that had been the source of Butcher's rage. Beatrices. You have got to be kidding me. Bleeze said as she arrived recently on this planet and soon found out Naruto was king. Be a better king than that BRT, she thought, as their freshly minted lantern was a psychotic child lashing out when he didn't get his way or no one respected his status. I swear, what lantern protocol is this? She thought, as apparently on the lantern's homeworld that lantern held rank and it was especially carried out with people like Ragnar. Despite her vast experience she had to answer to a twit. Ah, the throne, my birthright. Ragnar said, sitting lazily on the throne. Might I ask why in the name of Grotz you need 3 liberators? Bleeze asked, as one made her nervous enough, especially on Shard if it were in battle, but 3 on a planet was enough to drastically change the solar system. A show of strength. My people need to learn that my rule is swift and severe. Ragnar said to her, as if trying to sound wise when in reality it sounded like pure idiocy and insanity. Swift, yes, severe not the word I'd use. Bleeze thought, as this was a death sentence with this trigger-happy moron. And what about Naruto? She said with a sad smile as she missed him, but he had turned traitor, but also liked how he'd PSS this man off. He shall be dead too, and soon. Ragnar said to her, his eyes burning. Well, this'll be good. Bleeze thought, as there was no way possible Ragnar could beat Naruto for a magnitude of reasons. Iolandi meditated in her cell as she concentrated, remembering some advice Naruto gave her. Flashback. Remember, the ring is as powerful as the user in mind, body, and soul. It is a tool, but it is also a part of us. Naruto said to her, tossing his ring away only for it to fly back and land on his ring finger. Like I said, a part of you, he said to her. Flashback end. Oh great. Iolandi thought as she felt her ring getting closer and assumed her brother, but to her surprise it was the female Red Lantern. Here. Bleeze said, tossing Iolandi her ring. Iolandi merely raised her hand and the ring put itself on her. Why? She asked, not breaking out of her cell just yet. I'd like to be out of the star system where your brother has control of planet-destroying weapons. Bleeze said, as this was a victory and planet she didn't mind the Green Lanterns having. I shall wait here then. Iolandi said, taking off her ring and hiding it. Tell your husband I'm gonna punch him in the face. Bleeze said, walking out, causing Iolandi to raise an eyebrow in curiosity at how the Red Lantern was familiar with her husband. Interceptor. He did what? Naruto said in anger as he got a call from Iolandi. Razor raised an eyebrow as he saw Naruto talk to his wife and saw fluctuations with his red aura. Is the engine, he thought, wondering if it was conflicting lantern powers that made the red energy dampen, as the engine almost had the power of a central battery. Why do you hold that battery so close? Kilowag asked as he often saw Hal with a certain battery. Secret. Hal said coolly as he walked away, getting weird looks. Charge your rings, we're going to save Iolandi and her Deech brother became a lantern, Naruto said to them. Razor remembered Ragnar and looked at his ring, thinking the standards dropped ever since he left by a low margin. 1 hour later. I hate those things. Kilowag said as he glared at the planet destroyers. And I hate that my wife is in prison. Naruto said in anger as his suit was red. Listen, there is protocol for this. We kill him, the Red Lanterns will leave the planet destroyers, not so much. Razor said to him as he read all their protocols. Green Lanterns can't do that. Hal said, firmly putting his foot down. We can in wartime. Kilowag said, reminding him that rule was bent for this, as this was a war for the Green Lanterns. Hal still hated the thought of taking lives to this day. Time to go to work. Naruto said as they made it to the palace, seeing the Red Lantern colors. Brother Naruto. Ragnar said to him simply and mockingly. Listen, you spoiled idiot, I came here for my wife. Naruto said to him as he cracked his fingers, which is why I am challenging you as king and as a Red Lantern, he said to him, getting many looks. Challenge me as a Red Lantern, what is he on about? Ragnar asked Bleeze. Oh, this'll be good, a red lantern of the same species can claim dominion over the planet they share with another lantern, Bleez said to him. Then he can't challenge me, we are not of the same species. Ragnar said with a grin. That'd be true if not for the fact he married your sister and has no world of his own by interstellar rights. The moment he married your sister, this became his home planet. Razor said, well versed in Red Lantern law, which was very true if one could believe, and the fact Naruto married Yolandi gave him dual citizenship to his world and hers. But he's a traitor. Ragnar said to them, all looking for a means to escape this. All Red Lanterns, innocent or not, have this right. Naruto said to him with a smirk. To make matters even more official, he was touched by the emotion that powers our rings, making him on somewhat equal footing as Atrocitus himself. Bleez said as it was something many of the Red Lanterns feared, and the fact he had met the emotion and lived gave him somewhat equal footing to Atrocitus himself. Fine, I'll kill you myself then, we battle at sunset. Ragnar said to him. 1 hour later. Did we just get out of a place without a fight with the Red Lanterns? Hal asked as they sat in their ship. Red Lanterns are cutthroats, but even they follow their own code. Razor said to them. No offense, but I'm surprised you have a DMN code. Kilowag said to him. Code is a bit much, it's a lot less than that. Razor said as it was more of a claim or fight rules kinda thing. And he can't cheat? Hal asked curiously, as Ragnar seemed the type to cheat to win when he knew he'd lose. Not a chance, since he knows Naruto can fight in combat, he'll pick the rings. Razor said as the man would have had a better shot with combat. And they won't kill us? Hal asked curiously, looking to the Red Lantern guards outside. Not as long as the challenge remains active. Once he kills Ragnar, he can make one request of the Red Lanterns under Ragnar's rule. Razor said to them, it's an equal favor type of thing, he said, seeing the look the Green Lanterns had as Naruto could order them to leave planet. Sunset. One last recharge. Hal offered from his special battery. Oh, lo and behold, this one finally learns to share. Kilowag said as he gave Hal a dry look. Naruto chuckled and took it as a good luck sign, so he charged his ring. Few minutes later. We taking bets? Hal asked as it was a bit weird sitting so close to people that have tried to kill him so frequently. Can't bet unless someone bets on Ragnar. Bleez said as everyone knew combat-wise Naruto was skilled with and without the ring. Okay, you little sociopath, I'll give you the chance to walk away with your life. Naruto said as his ring glowed red. Please, I won't lose to someone as pathetic as you. Ragnar said as he made melee weapons. Naruto responded by laughing, his red glow dying down. Everyone, friend and foe, was a little perplexed by this. You know something, Ragnar, I have no idea why I was so angry. Let's be honest, you are nothing. Naruto said as Ragnar glowed red, you have cheated, assassinated, and poisoned countless people to live out some wet dream of yours which will never happen because you are demented, he said smugly as his red light now died and a blue light took over. Did he ever get a blue light? Kilowag asked in annoyance as he was wondering if Naruto would ever be just one color or maybe transform into a rainbow. Bleez noticed Ragnar's light die and saw her own ring die as if it didn't have a charge, but everyone was taken back by the light in the sky as ripples of blue filled it. You lose, no ring. Naruto said as the blue light took Ragnar's ring. No, not again. Ragnar said, whipping out a detonator. Have you gone mad? Bleez said in shock. Go ahead, do it. Naruto said, getting much protest. You think I bluff? I would rather destroy this planet than let someone else rule it. Ragnar said as he pressed the button. Everyone ran away, and the moment they flew up they saw none of the bombs were active. What, you think I was gonna let Trigger Finger have live explosives? Hell no, I had Aya, Kat, and Drusa disable them. Naruto said to them. You cheated. Ragnar said to him in pure rage. No, he won and saved our lives, he fought honorably. You on the other hand are a coward. Bleez said, throwing him to the other Red Lanterns who looked even more angry than usual. Mind taking me to my wife? Naruto said, appearing before Bleez. Bleez nodded as it was the least she could do. you know Atrocitus won't stop until he controls this planet. He wants a red lantern here, she said to him as Atrocitus wanted more soldiers. I have that covered, Naruto said holding Ragnar's ring. Blee's eyes widen in surprise. Few minutes later. You want to make me a red lantern? Yolandi said seeing the ring that belonged to her brother. Yep, may keep Atrocitus away. Naruto said as he tossed her the ring which glowed red. Yolandi nodded as she took the ring, slipping it on her right hand as her green ring was on the left one situated next to her wedding ring. As she did this the black and white of her uniform turned a glowing red. 1 hour later. Can I ask why you fight for the Red Lanterns? Yolandi asked Blees curiously. Blees told her about the violence the Guardians caused which harmed and destroyed many planets. You are an idiot. Yolandi said as both women gained a red aura around them. Watch your tongue or I will rip it out. Blees said to her not one to take disrespect for anyone and the warning was merely a courtesy. You have planet destroyers. Yolandi said as Blees looked confused, be honest for a moment if your MSTR was anything other than what you believe him to be, why have a weapon capable of killing millions? He is worse than the Guardians, as how many planets has he so readily used those on or other red lanterns like my brother, she said to her, and don't tell me you believe the ends justify the means as then you are kidding yourself, she said to herself. Blees had to admit the planet-destroying weapon has been used a lot and she really disliked it greatly. Let me ask you, has Naruto not proven to be worthy of your trust? And another thing, Naruto has been chosen by more than one ring color, Yolandi said as she often saw Naruto as someone truly special as he believed each ring color saw that. Blees calmed herself, fine, educate me, she said wanting to hear the opposing side of the war. Few hours later. Blees was glowing in rage as she had heard, hating how deplorable their actions were. Vengeance is one thing but needless bloodshed, she thought, swiping a tea set making it crash on the floor. If you want to be angry and destroy something, I believe my brother is still alive outside. Yolandi said, disowning her brother, not caring what happened to him as the soldiers took turns beating him. Blees actually took that offer and enjoyed the bloody screams of Ragnar. 20 minutes later. You want me to be a spy? Blees asked in surprise. Makes sense if you think about it. Yolandi said, picking much of her husband's habits. Fine. Blees said to her as it was better than letting things go on as they were. I can tell you care for him. Yolandi said, seeing the winged woman tense up before both their gazes drifted upwards to the ship carrying said man as it left the atmosphere of the planet. I have no idea what you are talking about, Blees said after a moment before continuing to walk off. Yolandi simply chuckled at the denial before she looked back up as the ship carrying her beloved vanished from eyesight. Stay safe, my beloved, until we meet again. I promise you I will grow stronger so that I may stand at your side in the battles to come. Then in the peace that follows our days shall be filled with bliss, passion, love, happiness, and more, she whispers to herself as she imagines her future with Naruto and all that it will contain. She lingers for a moment on the thought of children, causing a fond and loving smile to blossom on her face. Someday, my love, she whispers as she brings her hand to rest over her lower abdomen, envisioning it swell with the physical manifestation of their love and what said child may look like. Star Sapphire homeworld. Gyata sighed as the days were getting too long. She had been striving to change the way of her very lantern core and each day was harder. Having been thinking of Naruto, she wondered how he had been as the war was still going on. She was glad the Red Lanterns didn't pick a fight with them given their numbers were about even, so it wouldn't have done them any favors. Gyata had been going over ancient texts wondering what she could do in order to help Naruto and his team. She had come across the orange energy, but knew Naruto had this already. However, that was not the last one, there was another, a warning, she thought as she kept reading The Light of Compassion, an energy that empowers that of the Star Sapphires. Be warned, this light, while able to increase our own, can take away one's very free will. She read as that sounded a bit terrifying. She knew each core had risks of being consumed by their emotions, but for it to take absolute control sounded terrifying. Gyata looked and saw there were coordinates on the text she was reading. She sent a message for Naruto to the interceptor and then went to the coordinates, but all that awaited Gyata was danger. With Naruto. A light that controls people. Naruto asked as he and the team listened to Gyata's message. Sounds like a waste of time, but I have heard some of the same stories. Razor said as he once thought the orange energy was a bunch of CRP, but he had Naruto and a thief who couldn't use said orange ring. I think I heard someone mention this before. Kilowag said as this sounded familiar to him. I think Abin Sir mentioned it, he said as Hal looked at his ring. The man who was the previous wielder of Hal's ring? Aya asked them curiously. How would we even get to it? I mean it's in Guardian space. Hal said to the group. Actually Hal, it's closer than you think. Kilowag said, pulling up Abin Sir's record. He was close to the maelstrom for a lot of years as he did deep space patrols, he said as it was one of the few duties that came with being a lantern. These are no more than a day away if we could cross it. Razor said to them before seeing Naruto gain a look in his eye. Earth. You want me to do what? Carol asked Hal in shock. What are you high? She asked as his request was a bit insane. Listen, we need you to be on the edge of Guardian space. I need an anchor to get me to the other side. The Star Sapphire power you have can make a bridge. Hal said over the ring frequency as it was their best gamble. Naruto informed him of the plan and he had to admit there was little to no risk. Naruto was having a similar conversation with Katma. How many ring powers do you need? Katma asked him in shock. Wait, how many do you have? She asked him curiously. Naruto actually had to do a head count as he had green, red, yellow, orange, pink, and his recently acquired blue. 6, he said to her. Katma face palmed. Alright, but how do you intend to get back? She asked him curiously. I sent a message to Gyata to be ready to create a portal back. Naruto said to her as he left her a message. Here's a KNK in your plan, genius. Carol / I still need to get to the edge of Guardian space. Katma and Carol said, pointing that small detail out, as she couldn't portal to Naruto as she'd be trapped with him in frontier space. I have that covered. I called a favor from said. She and Ganthet were close. She has a prototype engine that was from the Interceptor. She loaded it onto an older model ship that has been in Green Lantern custody for a long time, no owner, and it's not in the archive records so no one will notice if it disappears. Naruto said to her. 1 hour later. Naruto was nursing a bloody nose as Carol was a bit angered as she had trouble getting here as with the ship being so old it couldn't handle the power, and when it made its first jump the ship was tearing itself apart from the sheer speed it was never meant to take. She was covered head to toe in ash as it exploded mere seconds upon her arrival. The Interceptor. Are we sure this gamble is the right one to take? Razor asked the others. We know this light may exist and if it does it controls people. We're throwing our heaviest fighter at it and if something goes wrong we can't help him, he said to them. Kid makes a point. Kilowag said to the others, worst case Naruto becomes the enemy in Lantern space, he said as besides the Guardians there wouldn't be anyone in Naruto's league. We have to trust he can do this, after all he has the will. Aya said showing them her rings. They all didn't have an answer for that. He once said he was greedy as he wants the people he cares about to be happy. If that's true, he's as greedy as they come. Drusa said to them. With Hal. You ever wonder what he could do with all the power? Carol asked Hal as she flew next to him as Naruto flew ahead with Katma. Honestly yes and no. Hal said to her explaining what Naruto could do without the ring and what the ring could do normally, but together with Naruto's abilities which have been steadily growing with each lantern color. Carol knew Naruto but not in the way Hal described as the way he made it sound was as if Naruto could wipe out a solar system. Hal had to remind himself with 3 lantern colors Naruto was able to destroy an asteroid that would have destroyed Mogo. He now had double that, meaning he could possibly destroy Mogo alone, and this was going to be his 7th light. They soon landed on a planet as it was one of Kilowog's guesses. This is kinda eerie. Carol said to herself. Naruto had to agree as he tried using his sage powers and so far it was as if there was nothing here, no anger, no calmness, nothing. This place was bland, but he felt something was here. Hal was kinda curious as this was a place his predecessor had been to. He looked at his ring wondering what they should do. Abin Sir, a female voice said, getting their attention seeing a woman with a staff that glowed indigo. Naruto checked his ring and saw nothing was happening. The emotional lights were waiting patiently as while all of them disliked one another they all had a special reason to hate the indigo light or rather. Proselyte, that particular light was able to bestow whomever used it to use their light as a redirection. It was an annoyance for someone not able to use their light to just copy and use it on those who could. Is the boy ready? Predator asked as his test may have been a challenging one that Naruto passed, but this test required more than testing out his compassion. His will is strong. Aion said having complete faith in Naruto and his abilities. Butcher was seething but knew the anger in Naruto could not be tamed by Proselyte. Parallax was silent as while he had no love for Naruto, he didn't want him to fall to the clutches of that emotion. Ophidian hissed, if I couldn't have him neither can Proselyte, he roared out in anger not willing to be denied. Adara while having been here the longest along with Aion knew Naruto had the strength to succeed and overcome this, ironically he didn't need his emotional aspect for this, he fully believed in Naruto. 1 hour later. Tor Lorik-san, Bor Nakamur, Natramo Fon Tornek what you are, Ter Lantern Ker Lo Aben Sir, Ton Lek Lek Nok, Formoro Sir. Indigo, one said to her lantern battery. Are you sure this is a good idea? Katma asked as they couldn't understand a word this woman said and she seemed interested in Hal and Naruto for various reasons, she kept calling Hal, Aben Sir. Probably not. Naruto said as he plunged his ring into her lantern. When have I ever thought things through? Hal said to them following Naruto's lead. Naruto saw he was in the hidden leaf, but saw a faint indigo hue around pretty much everything. Is this a test? He thought as when Predator did his test Gyata was involved. This is a unique place. Gyata said as she appeared near Naruto. Naruto jumped back and saw Gyata had 2 rings, her Star Sapphire ring, and an indigo ring. You must have some serious ball to manipulate her and think I won't kick your butt, he said to the person inhabiting Gyata's body. Things needed to be done for our meeting, you are an anomaly. Gyata said to him, you have endured so much, this very place is a place of much love, hurt, pain, and happiness, she said to him. Naruto was silent as he hated mind readers, but he could not deny she was right. You are unlike any I have come across, you demonstrate all feelings and powers of the emotional spectrum, you fight for others, you display kindness, and your actions are swift and just. Gyata said to him. Can I ask what this is? I thought I was going to be tested. Naruto asked her curiously. But you have been. Gyata said to him, all your hard work has been closely watched, the Star Sapphires had an indigo crystal on their planet, I knew you were there the moment Predator tested you and merely watched, she said to him seeing him look at her expectantly, Naruto your final test has yet to arrive, I am merely here to tell you what you'll face next, she said as he was wondering what else there could possibly be. Naruto was in fact wondering what this was, a warning or instructions. Do you know what the color of all colors is? Gyata asked him curiously. White. Naruto said as he learned that a while ago as white was the combined color of all colors and black was the color that was lacking color. Gyata nodded at him, and at the end of it Naruto, each color has an avatar, you have been tested for the mere fact that you are worthy of becoming the lantern to unite all the colors, look at whom you have changed and made for the better already, she said as an image of Katma appeared in her green and pink glory, Yolandi in her green and red, Gyata with her pink and indigo, and soon saw Blaze with red and blue rings. When did that happen? He asked her curiously. The guardian you know as Ganthet was making blue lantern rings to go along with the blue battery he disguised as green, the battery left, but the lantern shot out 2 rings, one went to Razor's friend Saint Walker and the other to Blaze, she currently hides the ring. Gyata said to him explaining what had happened. Naruto didn't know that tidbit but it was good to know. With Hal. I don't think many Green Lanterns get to meet the previous owner of their ring, a voice said making Hal Jordan jump in shock. Hal was face to face with someone he long thought to be dead. Aben sir, how are you here? He asked in shock. Our ring, when I was last here I helped the woman who guided you to her battery, she made the lantern and her ring. If that was a mistake, I am not one to judge, but the universe needs Naruto Namikaze at his best, Hal Jordan. Abin Sur said to him, he needs the indigo light, he said to him. Sorry but I don't do blind faith, what will happen to him? Hal asked as this wasn't making sense. It was as if this was all being set up. Abin Sur smiled at the man his ring chose, he will become a new lantern entirely, the white lantern. The ring Naruto had wasn't green, well not in the way you believe, it was blank easy to be dyed any color, it took on the green color as Ion the emotional being of will that powers the green lanterns, saw his potential and became his first lantern light, he said to him. So if Naruto gets this indigo light, he becomes a white lantern. Hal said slowly following, I've seen the things he's capable of on his own. He can destroy mountains, with the 3 lantern lights he destroyed an asteroid capable of destroying a planet, with all of these he could destroy a solar system, he said to him. Could being the operative word. Hal Jordan, let me ask, has Naruto ever given the impression that he wanted to do that or has never shown the control? A strong will you have, but open your heart and your mind, do you think Naruto will do that? Abin Sur asked him. Hal was silent as his answer was no, Naruto was a lot of things but not a destroyer. With the others. Kat and Carol watched as Naruto and Hal were sent flying back. Carol checked Naruto. Hal said weakly, but his words soon died as they saw Naruto now glow indigo, but that light was not alone as he shined all the colors in the spectrum before he exploded in pure white color. They all saw Naruto's new appearance and were taken aback by how this new light suited him. It was as if Naruto's very spirit had been given form. Naruto's mind. Naruto was face to face with all emotional spectrum aspects and saw each of them shine. You have done well as my lantern Naruto, your will is unparalleled. Ion said before beginning his chant, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might, beware my power green lantern's light, he said as he became a pure green beam of light. I have watched you for a long time with Ion Naruto, and while you may not have been able to use my powers till recently, you have made your own light of hope. I am proud to have seen you become the lantern you are. Adara said to him before saying his oath, in fearful day, in raging night, with strong hearts full, our souls ignite, when all seems lost in the war of light, look to the stars, for hope burns bright, he said becoming a blue pillar of light. You have much love in your heart Naruto, it is guarded, but you still share it, do not close it off to the people you love however you love them, for love is not an emotion to be hidden no matter what shape it takes. Predator said to Naruto, for hearts long lost and full of fright, for those alone in blackest night, accept our ring and join our fight, love conquers all, with violet light, he said to Naruto as he shined bright and became a pink pillar of light. You are a warrior. Butcher said to Naruto, you have much anger in you, such ripe and powerful, boiling anger, use it to battle your enemies and destroy all who get in your way, he said to him as while he wished Naruto would get angry more, he was indeed a worthy warrior, with BLD and rage of crimson red, ripped from a corpse so freshly dead, together with our hellish hate, will burn you all, that is your fate. He said becoming a red pillar of light. You're mine, 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 take everything that should belong to us and take even more. Ophidian said to Naruto as he felt Naruto deserved everything after seeing he had so little to start with, he deserved all that there was and more, what's mine is mine and mine and mine. And mine and mine and mine. Not yours, he said to him before becoming an orange pillar of light. Our time may have been the briefest, but I have been watching you closely Naruto, you are ready for this and for what is to come, be kind not only to others, but yourself as well. Proselyte said to him, Tor Lorik San, Bor Nakamur, Natramo Fon Tornek what you are, Ter Lantern Ker Lo Abin Sir, Ton Lek Lek Nok Formoro Sir, he said before becoming an indigo pillar of light. So that leaves just us. Parallax said looking at Naruto, I will admit, you've come far and are not so weak-minded to fall for the other guardian's drivel, he said as Naruto was smarter than that thankfully, but I am not an emotion you can brush away Naruto, I know your fears and we both know you are capable of much more than simply saving people, when you fight and see injustice, you are no different than those you hate. He said as buried deep inside Naruto was a selfish person of that he was sure, in blackest day. In brightest night, beware your fears made into light, let those who try to stop what's right, burn like my power Parallax's might, he said to him laughing as he became a yellow pillar of light. Naruto looked at all the pillars taking in the words given to him, accepting them as these beings probably knew him almost as well as Kurama did. But soon a white light appeared and Naruto saw a being made of white energy in what looked like a chrysalis, but instead of looking like a baby it looked somewhat elderly inside it. "Greetings Naruto Namikaze, the first white lantern, I have waited a long time for you," the being said to him. "So who are you?" Naruto asked it curiously. "Call me Entity." Entity said to him, "And life is in danger if you cannot save it," he said to him. Naruto got the feeling when he said life, he meant all life. "With how?" Naruto began to stir, examining his new appearance. "Are you telling me it'll take 18 months to get back to Earth?" Carol said, very enraged. Hal quickly discovered he was very screwed in this particular moment. Naruto felt a massive amount of pity for Hal, but before any of them knew it a pink and indigo portal appeared, and out came Gyata. "That was not fun." Gyata said, nursing a headache, "Proselyte had a message for you. He wanted you to know the indigo light has the ability to teleport," she said as it made teleporting more free range with her Star Sapphire ring, but being possessed by an entity was no easy task. Naruto had to admit that sounded pretty cool. He wondered if he could work the Hiraishin into it somehow, but chose to save that for another day. The blonde looked at Carol and decided to test his limits as he opened a portal to Earth. "Carol, go," he said, seeing her fly through the white portal, and Naruto soon collapsed. 1 hour later. "So you're a white lantern now?" Razor said, never hearing of such a thing, but the power coming off Naruto was off the scale. "What is the oath?" he asked as they all stared at Naruto and his now white battery. Naruto placed his ring inside. "Live," he said as his ring and the lantern glowed. "We all have oaths and you get the one word." Kilowog said in annoyance as that lantern oath was next to nothing. "Well, with this Naruto is the most powerful lantern there is." Katma said as Naruto's power was now unmatched. "Can you change colors like before?" Hal asked him curiously. Naruto tried but to no avail, he was still white. "What do we tell the Guardians?" Kilowog asked as he wasn't sure how they'd feel about one of their lanterns no longer being one of theirs. Fate was truly AB that day as the Guardians began to call. "May as well face the music." Naruto said as he had been hiding this for a long time, seeing Appa, and said, "Oh swell," he thought, thinking this was a fantastic start. Appa saw Naruto's color and was first to react in his usual way, demanding information. Naruto then explained how when they came he had been selected by multiple colors of light. To be chosen by a different color of each spectrum. "I was aware of the blue by Ganthet, but how is this possible?" said asked, looking to Naruto for an answer. "Each emotion upon giving me their ring light tested me, and then I met him, the emotional spectrum of all the colors, entity, the light of life." Naruto said to her, explaining their meeting. "This is impossible, how did this occur?" Appa said demandingly. "He had to prove himself worthy." Said to him as there was no other way. "But does he even fall under our jurisdiction?" Appa asked as he was no longer a Green Lantern. "I'll do what I've always done, I'll protect people. My character was tested for this light, which includes the light of will, might I add. If anything, this makes me the most diverse lantern, and maybe, just maybe with this ring I can unite not just our corp, but the others as well." Naruto said to them passionately, "And after what happened with the Red Lantern Corp, we could use that, especially given it was you who commissioned the Manhunters and sealed off your mistake. It's time we fixed this mess, and for you to admit your own mistake instead of hiding and burying it," he said, glaring at them. "Is this what I'm like on trial?" Hal asked Kilowog curiously. "No, this is worse." Kilowog said as Naruto was tearing into them. "How dare you?" Appa said, surprised he was acting this way. "How dare I? No, how dare you?" Naruto said to him, surprising everyone with his passion, "I meant what I said. We can unite the core of all these other lanterns, but we need honesty, not some false sense of superiority and some false idea our way is the best way," he said as he was tired of Appa's attitude. "And your way is best?" Appa asked condescendingly. "No. Naruto said to them once again, catching them off guard, "It'll be hard, it'll be new, but at least my way, is honest and strives for unity instead of diversity." Naruto said to him, "We will need to convene with the other guardians." Said as Naruto made some strong points, she hung up before Appa could open his mouth. Few minutes later on OA. Many of the guardians were fighting amongst themselves at this development as the war and Naruto's white ring shook everything to the very core. "Silence, our secrets will get out, how it gets out is up to us." Said glaring at everyone, daring them to interrupt her. "If through the red lanterns, we lose all our credibility no matter how long the green lantern cause has been, we have made many mistakes in the forbidden zone, and they will reach us," she said, as if not the red lanterns there were the Star Sapphires, and with the secret message Naruto sent her about the yellow energy, a certain guardian they locked away could come back to haunt them. But what of this white lantern? He could be a threat, he possesses all colors. "He could be a match for us when we had our full powers," a female guardian said to them. "Or he could be the answer we have been looking for to save us from our past." Said to them, "Naruto has an outstanding record when he was with the Green Lantern Corp. He is admired and well respected, by both Guardian and Lantern. He has made allies with the other Corps already. If we do not take this opportunity we will be hanging ourselves, as death will not be far behind," she said, as all the Guardians murmured amongst themselves. Said, "We are gambling everything on a child." Appa said to her, "A child he may be, but he has come through again and again, for not just this corp, but for others, he has put his life on the line to help, that is who I chose to believe in." Said as she left, leaving them to ponder her words. Few minutes later. Said was in her chambers looking at a picture of Naruto in his Green Lantern attire. She met him through Ganthet as he was her SCRT on a peace mission. Her ship was attacked and he protected her, he gave her medical treatment and even revealed his chakra to her, telling her, her life was more important than his secret. She was touched at that personal sacrifice, as not many would reveal themselves for a stranger. She often began to rely on him for tasks and he was eager to help. He often came to see her as much as Ganthet. It was nice as he didn't treat her like his boss, he treated her as if she was a friend. With Naruto. "So your ship's engines are repaired?" Gyuta said to Naruto as Aya informed them of the current status. "Yeah, but something is confusing me," Naruto said as he and Aya were looking through the ship's data. "We got here coming through the maelstrom, but we would have needed to go through the lighthouse to do so," he said as he was wondering if the ship could connect with it wirelessly. "I still don't get how the Guardians don't know, but this ship does," Hal said in confusion. "It is possible that the lighthouse and the ship have older, but similar programming and they are able to connect via wirelessly," Aya said as she was not aware of all the programming in the ship. "Perhaps it is some registry code where Green Lantern vehicles could travel through the maelstrom, but others couldn't," Razor said as that was his best guess. "There is one Guardian that could be more help," Naruto said as while a white lantern he could feel the sensations of each light. It truly opened up his sensory skills and he was sensing a flare in the blue light. 2 hours later. "Good to see you, Ganthet," Hal said as ever since he heard of his exile, he disliked the Guardians that much more. "I should be thanking you, you saved me weeks of travel, Naruto," Ganthet said as he was surprised when Naruto appeared in his pod. "And I must say, you have an amazing crew," he said, seeing much diversity here. It truly warmed his heart. "This is what Atrocitus hates so much," Razor asked, not seeing anything threatening at all. In fact he liked this man much better than Kilowog. "And you, my dear, are truly something," Ganthet said, looking to Aya as while she was at first a program, she became a living being and sported 10 Green Lantern rings. Aya actually blushed from the genuine praise. "You say there are 2 blue lanterns?" Ganthet asked Naruto as he informed them while they were in his pod before teleporting here. "Yeah, one is a red lantern though," Naruto said to him. "All the same, no matter the color," Ganthet said to him. "Are all the Guardians like this?" Razor asked. "No one in particular." "No, Ganthet is special, the others are much more annoying," Hal said, thinking of Appa in particular. Razor took Hal's word for it as they shared very similar ideas of annoying. So inventory, we have 1 white lantern. Kilowog said looking at Naruto, 3 green lanterns, he said motioning to Hao, himself, and Aya, a moody red lantern, he said looking to Razor as he grumbled, 4 hybrid lanterns one of which is with the enemy, he said motioning to Gyata, Katma, and Yolandi who arrived while Naruto was away and brought up Bleeze, an orange lantern who can't use her ring, he said as Drusa flipped him off, and an exiled guardian. Am I missing anything? He said to them ending his recap. You forgot about Mogo and Saint Walker. Naruto said to him. Right, the hippie who kicked Razor down. Kilowog said with a laugh, and is Mogo really the best person to call? He's a planet and the Reds have liberators, he said as those were not good odds in his mind. Well, blue lanterns nullify red lanterns, so we have that going for us. Hal said to him looking at Naruto. Sorry Hal, but I asked Yolandi to use pure red lantern powers and my white light does CRP to it, probably because it has red light in it too. Naruto said as he wanted to test that right away before they went to war. What about Ganthet? Aya asked curiously. I am sorry, but my influence with the blue light is rather limited, I would not be much if any help in combat. Ganthet said to them. Is there any way you can turn Bleeze to our cause? Razor asked Naruto. She doesn't like the liberators and she's grateful I saved Yolandi's world. Naruto said to him. With Bleeze. The one good thing about this ring. Bleeze thought as she fired blue light in her room killing off any red lantern's listening devices. You have guts calling me, she said to him. Listen Bleeze, the war is going to start soon and I think you need to know what your side has truly done, meet me at the prison. Naruto said to her cutting his transmission off. BSTRD. Bleeze thought as she was heading there anyway for a mission. 1 hour later. Check the cells, I want to see if there is anyone here on Atrocitus wanted list. Bleeze said to the others splitting off from them as Naruto sent her a cell number and lo and behold here he was outside of his uniform. How'd you know I had this ring? She asked as she made extra sure no one knew of it after she left Yolandi's world. Insider information. Naruto said before revealing his ring. White. Bleeze thought before he made his uniform manifest seeing him in pure white brought a calming effect to the red lantern. Bleeze, this war is going to happen, but you should know the lies your boss tells you. Naruto said as before he left Atrocitus caught him going through the records and he made sure he couldn't check what records he looked at. Bleeze watched as Atrocitus ordered the death of green lanterns, but what shocked her was many of them were native species to here. She knew the rings chose new wielders, but to think he killed so many just because a ring chose someone, and what was worse was that some of the worlds that belonged to the Green Lanterns were destroyed by liberators. She actually puked on the floor. I'm here with someone who can tell you the truth of what happened. Naruto said as Ganthet soon came in. 1 hour later. You are not forgiven. Bleeze said to him her rage boiling, but neither is Atrocitus. She said as what the Guardians did was foolish and the way they sealed off this part of space was criminal, but Atrocitus knowingly murdered planets with people on them. In her mind that made him much worse as there was injustice, then there was revenge, and finally there was pointless bloodshed. I wasn't expecting to be forgiven, all I could hope for was that this new lantern light could do what I always wished could be done through peace and understanding. You, my dear, are the first blue lantern, and maybe that means something. Ganthet said to her. Bleeze didn't think of it like that, as to be the first lantern was truly an honor. Fine. I'm in, she said to them. I know it means little coming from me, but thank you my dear. Ganthet said to her. I'm not doing it for you, you have much to make up for Guardian, you and the rest of your ilk. Bleeze said as she could tolerate him, especially if what Naruto said about him being banished was true. Few minutes later. We're all charged? Kilowog asked as he had been asking everyone periodically. Yes, everyone answered. Alright, we need a game plan. Naruto said to everyone as they circled around the war table, me and all the hybrid lanterns are capable of 2 lantern lights, so we should be on the front lines, he said to them. The Star Sapphires agreed to medical as Galia is locked onto Kilowog, he said as the giant blushed. Razor, if Bleeze uses her blue aura you are dead in the water, so you need to keep your distance, he said to him as apparently, the range Bleeze had was a good 100 feet. I could sabotage their ships from behind. Razor said as he was more a precision close combat fighter, not a heavy artillery fighter, so this worked out best. We may be able to use the interceptor as a bomb if we maximize the power. Aya said as it would take out everything nearby. Naruto considered that, but the interceptor was better as an escape vehicle as without it they were dead in the water. Gyata, you'll be rear guard since if we get hurt you can send us to your home world, he said as Gallia was one thing, he thought it'd be best to rely on Gyata given her teleportation range and given she loved her and she could also teleport an injured person to her. Couldn't we open a portal to OA, and get some extra help? Hal asked Naruto as he sent Carol home when he became a White Lantern. I blacked out Hal. That big a jump is insane to hold open, and at best we'd get a dozen lanterns if I could hold it open for them to squeeze through. Naruto said as while every ring mattered his ring could determine the course of this battle. I have to ask realistically what are our chances? Razor asked Aya thinking her being both human and machine made her a better judge than the rest of them. Given what I have seen from each of you 37% chances of success. Aya said to him. Those are better odds than I anticipated. Razor said in full admittance as to him they were 1 to 10. Any way to boost those odds? Bleeze asked thinking if they got closer to 50% they'd have a real shot. If I can hack into the Red Lantern Citadel known as Scar I would be able to shut down most of the ships and disarm the Liberators. Aya said to them, with that we can bring in Mogo and our odds go to 67%, she said to them. What if we can get Drusa to unlock her ring? Naruto asked her as she was the only non-lantern minus Ganthet who could wield the blue energy on the team. Our odds go to 80% given my scans of the orange energy. Aya said to him. So we diverge a small portion of our forces and we can bolster our chances, I say we do it. Bleeze said as Razor agreed. She's right, we do this we can actually win. Razor said to them. How do we unlock my ring anyway? Drusa asked as she had been trying and so far nothing worked. We need to go to the Orange Lantern homeworld. Naruto said to them, and you all need to make sure the Reds can't figure out that password, he said as he and Bleeze pulled a fast one where he kidnapped her and she screamed he knew the password over the line. It'd take them a day or two before they'd have to return to the prison as. They were not that bright. Drusa dreaded that answer. I shall accompany you. Aya said as they'd be close enough for her to scan the ships near Scar. Few hours later. I swear if I become like this, please, put me down. Drusa said looking at Larfleeze act like an animal. That's what happens when you get greedy for material things. Naruto said to her. So why are we here, you made me an orange battery remember. Drusa said to Naruto as she tried and said the oath, the ring was fully charged, but still nothing. I was actually thinking we try a more in-depth way of getting in touch with your ring. Naruto said as he had been thinking about using Sage Mode and sending the gathered orange energy he gathered into Drusa allowing her to change. Few minutes later. Take what you want, take it, it's yours, make it yours, take it. Ophidian said to her. Drusa had been listening to this for a short while and was starting to understand how Larfleeze was so out of his DMN mind. 1 hour later. Okay, we need to take a more drastic approach. Naruto said to her. The splitting headache option wasn't drastic. Drusa asked curiously as her head felt like it was pounding. Listen, the psycho snake isn't gonna be much help, you need another emotion to help balance your greed. Naruto said as if Drusa could discover a new side to herself it may balance out her greed helping her fully unleash it or change what she was greedy for. Drusa saw Naruto hold out a rings belonging to Star Sapphire, Red Lantern, and Indigo Lantern. I've conquered these lights I can make you a lantern for any of them and no you can't pick all. Naruto said as just giving her the power was demeaning to her. He did it for Yolandi because her emotion for anger was strong and it was to make sure her brother couldn't use a ring ever again. Drusa on the other hand needed to make a choice so she could change herself for the better as the orange light did in fact react to her. Drusa picked the Star Sapphire ring quickly, as she eliminated rage as an emotion she wanted, and the indigo light did not sound fun from what she had heard. She put on the ring and suddenly both her rings glowed brightly. F my existence. Predator said as he looked at Ophidian as he was almost tempted to pick Butcher over him. Mine. Ophidian said hissing at Predator. Predator was so beyond glad that there were two other girls with sapphire rings, and that they were paired with Ion and Proselyte. With Naruto. Naruto saw Drusa gain an orange lantern uniform, but the black and white highlights quickly turned pink. This feels amazing. Drusa said, shooting up and flying all around. Query is the combined emotion for love and greed, not lust. Aya asked Naruto before his eyes widened at that statement. I have been studying the combined nature of dual lanterns, she said to him. Yolandi is strongly willed, but short-tempered. Blaze has serenity, able to act and respond with the correct course for anger or calmness. Gyata is very kind and very passive, but affectionate to those she cares for, she said to him. What about me? Naruto asked as he was the first hybrid lantern. Unable to fully analyze, you have displayed all characteristics of each light and you are not easily broken down, you are an enigma. Aya said to him. Naruto took that as a compliment. Few minutes later. The group decided to spend the night on the planet given Hell had called, saying they got into a situation at the prison with Thanagarians. Enough was said at that point. Space was a bit active right now, and given their unique light signatures they'd be easy to spot via the red lanterns. The group found an abandoned home and stayed there and hoped the orange lantern resident of this planet let them rest in peace. Naruto looked at his ring and focused. It was odd having this white color as it reminded him of the Sage of Six Paths robes. Apparently his ring had a sense of humor as it changed his uniform to those very robes. He focused and it changed back. This sucks, he thought, as while white was the strongest light, he lost his edge with each light having a strong effect on the others. Since I'm no longer able to use the blue lantern light, I can't power up the others, he thought to himself as the edge was now lost. His ring had no effect on the other lights as it was pure power. Can't help the others anymore, he thought, as while this was a boon, it came with a cost, meaning Blaze was the only blue lantern on the team. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts as he heard someone enter and saw Aya followed by Drusa. I want to have CC with you. Aya said, steel clearly in her voice. She had no doubts or reservations. Naruto raised an eyebrow and then looked to Drusa, seeing her rub her thighs and panting as if she was in heat. 2 minutes later. Drusa liked Naruto's PP alongside Aya and she was going to have a CC with the two people she craved more than air itself. She began to do him as Aya handled his ball. He tastes amazing, she thought, as this was better than her dreams and she was becoming addicted to the taste. After much observation, I believe I can mimic their technique. Aya thought, as unknown to Naruto when he was still a Green Lantern, she was able to freely tap into his ring and listen and see whenever he was having SEC with one of his partners. She learned and tried to mimic their technique so she'd be ready for him on this night. She had fully intended on using Drusa as she was willing to be their toy and she had no problem abusing that. She placed her hand on the back of Drusa's head, making her go farther, taking more of his PP into his mouth. Break me, Drusa thought in excitement. Aya and Drusa watched as Naruto's clothes faded and soon his white lantern energy covered them, stripping them of their uniforms. Aya blushed. He may have control over our rings, she thought, slightly embarrassed at the thought of being so vulnerable. She knew she was obedient to him already of her own free will, but the thought of him controlling her rings made her embarrassed, especially given she had so many rings. The thought of him making each do something to her was enough to make her extremely corny. Few minutes later. Drusa was on her back with Aya on top of her. Both girls made out as Naruto thrusted into them, switching holes with each move. If we weren't in a war, he'd be breeding us. Drusa thought, quivering at the thought as she believed he'd be even more aggressive, want to make absolutely sure they got knocked up. Aya screamed as she climaxed. No amount of knowledge or second-hand knowledge of SEC could prepare her for the beastly lust and pleasure Naruto was giving them. She wasn't sure who or why, but she felt a symbol appear above her rear. She believed it was a tattoo. Is it him or me? She wondered and thought, as honestly either way was hot. She as she felt him begin to spank her more. She thought, loving the pain he delivered to her peach. She feeling his PP twitch. She whined as he chose to give it to Drusa and not her. Drusa felt her mind go blank. Her PP was being filled, and this is one juices, she thought in amazement. Knock us up, knock me and your cyborg SEC SLV up, we'll give you lots of babies, she said in pleasure and desperation. Aya felt her insides clench. She knew she did in fact have a WMB and knew it functioned perfectly. She had made herself temporarily infertile given they were in the middle of a war, but she was considering making herself fertile again to give Naruto a child. Her mind went numb thinking about a child with their features. The child would have their blue eyes. She pictured a boy and girl with either of their skins, picturing them with blonde, white, or even green hair. I will give him many children. She thought the longing to give her very fertile lover many children like the ones in her thoughts, and also being his SECSLV. Aya was brought out of her thoughts as Naruto began thrusting again and knowing she had a juice coming her way, but what concerned her now was she no longer knew if her WMB was fertile or not, having gotten lost in the pleasure. Drusa felt her breath hitch as she felt a white collar appear on her neck. It wasn't tight and fit perfectly on her neck, but she soon felt orange letters appear on it that spelled, mine. It was Naruto's way of saying he owned her to everyone. She loved it. Next day. Naruto truly hated the lighthouse. He wondered how it wasn't keyed into the Green Lantern rings. He watched as Aya flew expertly, seeing her body crack and burn. She earned those rings all right, he said to himself and to Hal, seeing his worry. What do you mean? Hal asked him curiously. Hal, those rings are pure energy, human or machine, either, and both would break anyone. You can fly, but not that good. Naruto said as Aya was more than the sum of her parts. She had spirit and heart. With Aya. Aya took a breath, feeling her metal and flesh burn from the energy she flew with, remembering something Naruto once said to her. Flashback. Push past my limits? Aya asked curiously. Aya, I am going to tell you something, whether it be organic, machine, or whatever in between, everything can be pushed farther. Sometimes we fail and sometimes we break, but getting back up is the most important thing. Naruto said to her, each lantern light I have come across is only as powerful as I make it, not the ring itself. He said to her, it will always be quality over quantity, he said to her. Flashback end. Aya looked down at her rings and clenched her fists, seeing them shine even brighter. She soon made it to the lighthouse. With the others. Lighthouse secured. Aya said over the comms. You both are a terrible influence on her. Razor said to Hal and Naruto. Rookie has a lot to learn. Kilowog said as while he was impressed, it was often better to work as a team than the normal solo thing Jordan liked to do. They soon made it to the lighthouse and the red lanterns were tied and bound. Impressive. Naruto said proudly. That was a bad call, Aya, you should have called us so we could take them down together. Kilowog said to her. She had helped big guy. Bleeze said in annoyance, and we have problems, she said as she brought them to a security room. They were all shocked to see 5 liberators. They can't be disarmed when they become live. Bleeze said as their current prisoners were responsible, as they reported Naruto's team had disarmed them from when Ragnar had them on his home planet Atrocitus, then had modifications done to his liberators making them unable to be disarmed. How screwed are we? Naruto asked Drusa, who did the math mentally. 2 liberators would have punched a decent hole in the maelstrom, but 5 would be akin to an explosion of a small sun. Drusa said as it would tear the maelstrom apart and possibly send any surrounding asteroids outward. They're live, but are they active? Naruto asked Bleeze. They all got an answer when the monitors showed a clock with a minute on it. Go, me and Aya need to do something. Naruto said, grabbing Aya as they all left. 30 seconds later. What is he doing? Razor asked, seeing Naruto and Aya dragging the lighthouse out of the maelstrom. We need the lighthouse. It may not be useful when there is a hole in the maelstrom, but it at least gives us a foothold. Naruto said to him. Naruto is correct, with the lighthouse we will have ground to fall on in the coming battle. Aya said to them. They all braced themselves as the explosion timer hit 0. The explosion was massive. Each liberator went off in quick succession as all the fiery destructive power was unleashed. Naruto and Aya flew into the lighthouse and shot their ring power to the shield, amplifying its power. Few minutes later. Man, am I tired. Naruto said in exhaustion. Hey Aya, can you link to the interceptor and lighthouse? He asked, wondering if she could control both. Yes. Aya said in equal exhaustion. Naruto Namikaze. Atrocious voice said through Naruto's ring, I challenge you to single combat, and when I win your forces shall let me pass through the maelstrom unharmed, and if you win, you may claim my life, he said to him before ending the call. 5 minutes later. This is clearly a trap, didn't you beat him before? Hal asked him curiously. I did, but he must have a reason to make this gamble. Naruto said as while one to gamble, he didn't like it when the gamble was from the enemy, it was like playing by someone else's rules. You're quiet over there, kid. Kilowog said looking to Razor. I had a dangerous thought. Razor said to him. We are on the brink of war, how much worse can it be? Iolandi asked curiously. Do you remember when I told you Atrocitus lost to the orange energy? Razor asked getting nods. Well, for years after that he had been looking for a way to increase his own power, through whatever means he could. It's one of the reasons why Scar holds the Red Lantern battery. Atrocitus may have drained the Red Lantern battery, he said to them. The entire central battery? Kat asked in shock as she heard tales of a lantern battery going critical. It could wipe out a large city and make a large crater. Central batteries were at least 100 times the size. Is your ring capable of something that powerful? Iolandi asked her husband. Naruto was silent, he looked down at his ring. Aya? Drusa asked curiously, remembering the asteroid Naruto stopped the day they met. The power scales between the two may be equal. Aya said to them, not even sure as she had no comparison. They were all caught off guard when Naruto's eyes glowed white. Naruto. Entity said to him mentally, I feel a disturbance, something I have not sensed in a long time. In this battle with Atrocitus, be careful, he said to him. Naruto was now concerned by that statement, as if Entity was telling him to be careful, then it was dangerous. 20 minutes later. DMN, how powerful would I be if there was a central battery for my color? Naruto thought to himself, seeing Atrocitus oozing red from his body. He watched him summon a mace. I'll stick to blades, he said, making 2 white swords appear. There were no more words said as the two clashed. With the others. And we aren't interrupting, why? Kilowog asked, as given the universe was at stake, he felt honor should take a back seat to this. Because it's Naruto, he can win. Iolandi said to them as he won her hand. Something's wrong. Razor said as he saw Atrocitus smiling, that was never good. Naruto's constructs are also breaking more easily, he thought, as Naruto's light was composed of all the known emotional colors and they tested their powers against him to see his could neither weaken or enhance the other colors. Aya was scanning Atrocitus carefully. Error, she said painfully as her scanners detected something. Negative charged energy detected, she said as they all looked to Atrocitus as he pulled out a dagger that was glowing black. Naruto, she said loudly, calling out to him. With Naruto. What is that? Naruto asked, as it felt wrong and somehow familiar. I never thought you'd be the one brother, the one to realize the legend. Atrocitus said with a grin. Oh, F my life. Naruto thought, hating this prophecy bullshit. And what legend is that? He asked him, wondering what he was in for. The legend of the forces of life and death. Atrocitus said to him. Naruto was paying even more attention, as Entity was life, or rather he was the source of it. Both forces rule the universe. I would trade my ring for that power. Atrocitus said to him seriously, yet I only possess a sliver of it, but that is all I need, to defeat you, he said, raising the dagger as it glowed, or rather it sucked all the light to it. SHT. Naruto thought as something inside him hurt like hell, and before he knew it Atrocitus was before him and stabbed him in his stomach. Atrocitus smirked, taking Naruto. He looked toward the interceptor and went to his own ship. Upon their last visit to Scar and when they defeated Ragnar, he had his guards take an in-depth scan of the interceptor's engine, so his own ship was capable of reaching OA. I shall be taking this, he said to Naruto's group. Atrocious ship. What's wrong with him? Zox asked, seeing cracks form over Naruto's visible skin and mostly his face. The dagger I stabbed him with is pure death. I am amazed he still draws breath. Atrocitus said to him, now, let us have our vengeance, he said, thinking of small blue corpses. OSHT. Naruto said as Kurama was frozen solid, he had no color to him either, he was completely black and white. You really messed up this time, kid, a voice said to him, making Naruto look around. Seriously, I am so tired of you coming to see me, he said, watching Naruto be himself. Naruto looked around the seal running down the hallways, rarely having uninvited guests in his seal. You idiot, look down, the voice said as Naruto halted. Naruto looked down at the water and saw a white cloaked figure with purple skin and saw him soon rise from the waters. The Shinigami, he said to him. Correct. Shinigami said plainly, and you, my hard-to-kill idiot, are in the crosshairs of life and death, he said to him neutrally. You know, I always thought you'd end up joining my corp, he said to him. Naruto froze and looked at his hands and saw it a black ring. You're a lantern, he asked in shock. Lantern of Death, kid, the only light not part of the White Lantern Corp. Shinigami said to him, it is a light you may one day wield, or maybe you're ready now, he said, seeing Naruto's surprised look. You have zero idea of the consequences that have happened to you, do you? He asked him curiously. What consequences? Naruto asked him. Kid, I hate to break it to you, but you have died like multiple times. Shinigami said, bringing up images of his battle with Sasuke, Kabuto when he was a kid, that time he was in prison, and a few other close calls. You skated death, kid, and even one of those is enough to get this ring, he said to him, especially when I made this DMN seal, he said, as Naruto had been marked by death mere moments after he was born. That was just SHT luck right there. So why wasn't I? Naruto asked him curiously. Because you fight. Shinigami said, confusing him. You don't fight for just your life, Naruto, you fight for everyone else's. You take everything to heart and are the embodiment of all the emotional aspects. So few are like you or grow to be like you. Life and death are two sides of the same coin, but only when someone sees their importance can one truly understand the power they wield, he said to him. So what, death is about giving up? Naruto asked him. No, death is about acceptance. Shinigami said to him simply before smiling, you have never accepted death, therefore reject the ring. While your choice is admirable to fight for yourself and others, accepting death is no weakness, it's just another journey, he said to him. Naruto took a moment to think about what he was told. No, he said, surprising the Shinigami, I refuse to accept or embrace death. Every minute I have, every minute I will have had, each one is worth fighting for. I won't just roll over to it for power, for freedom, no. I will continue to fight with all the power in my soul no matter the cost, he said to him. The Shinigami smirked as he saw Naruto's ring shine brightly. Okay, final question, when it is time to let go, when the light is finally ready to extinguish in you, or your friends and loved ones, will you be ready? He asked him curiously. I know when to accept death. I may not like it, but I know it is inevitable. I won't be like Orochimaru or Madara. Naruto said to him. Congratulations, Naruto, you passed, the Shinigami said to him. Now go kick Atrocitus ass, he said as Naruto vanished. He's grown up, he said with a smirk as a black humanoid blob showed up next to him. If he chose to accept me, he would have wielded both powers, the blob said to him. Shinigami laughed. That's not who he is, he said with a grin. That kid may be destined for greatness, but it'll be his own greatness, he said to him as he vanished. OA. Naruto awoke seeing Atrocitus breaking through the last door. He looked down and focused his light, seeing the blade break and shatter into pieces. Hey B, he said angrily to Atrocitus as he got up. Round 2, he said as his ring shined. The Guardians all watched in fascination as they saw their former lantern shine as bright as a star, but that wasn't the only thing. They saw he had unleashed an aurora of colors of all the lantern lights he had gained. Take this. Naruto said, his hand glowing green as he punched his enemy in his jaw. His hand then changed to red. You're no warrior, he said, striking him once again as his light changed to yellow. You're a coward, he said before it changed to orange. You thought you could take what's mine. Well, here's my reply, he said, punching him in the gut, forcing him to kneel as his light became indigo. Why do you defend them? They sit upon their thrones looking down on other races thinking they have the right to rule. Why serve those you know are guilty for millions of deaths? Atrocitus asked him, as that was what always baffled him about Naruto. I don't serve them or fight for their cause. I fight because it's the right thing to do. I help and protect others, and while the Guardians are guilty of being jackasses. Naruto said, looking at certain guardians than others, you willingly chose to exterminate planets and kill off Green Lanterns that held no responsibility to the crime that had happened to you, so I'll give you a chance, surrender and there can be peace, he said, extending his hand. Never. Atrocitus said, striking Naruto in the face, making him only move a step back. Naruto shot a jab to Atrocitus' mouth, knocking out some teeth before his hand turned pink. How'd I know that'd be your answer, he said as he delivered another blow to his chest, breaking a few ribs as his ring turned blue. Atrocitus watched as he lost his armor and his ring no longer functioned. He grabbed his mace and charged at Naruto, who ducked and jabbed him in his side, leaving him with only white light now. Naruto took Atrocitus' ring and broke it. Without it, he would no longer be a Red Lantern. 1 hour later. We won. Naruto said as he sat atop the Guardian's roof of their chambers with Hal. I'm surprised you managed to make peace so easily with Socks. Hal said to him. Oh, I didn't. I told him Bleeze was the new High Commander since I beat Butcher and Atrocitus. No Red Lantern has the ball to challenge me. Naruto said as Bleeze was a high-ranking Red Lantern with her blue ring. She would have easy ways to beat any who challenged her. What about you? You know the Guardians are gonna pull something, right? Hal asked him, referring to his White Lantern status. How I break all the rules. Naruto said with a grin before seeing many lantern lights return to OA. Few minutes later. Kid has brass ball pulling this. Kilowog said as all the lanterns on OA were at the central battery. Normally only the Guardians could do this. I can back that up. Kat and the Yolandi said in unison. Lanterns. Naruto said, taking center stage. You all know me, he said as he was pretty famous and infamous for numerous reasons. Many cheered for his victory and stopping of the war. I stand here before you as a White Lantern. I hold the power of each light. Naruto said as he explained his journey to all of them. I stand here not as a leader, but as a lantern. We were all chosen, be it by whatever means and for whatever color. We need to remember that we are united, and this incredible power we wield isn't for our own selfish desires, it is for the sake of others. We're lanterns, all of us, he said as video screens of the other lantern lights was revealed. People cheering for him. Now show me your light, he said as he fired his light upward, as did all lanterns in core. All lights in the spectrum smiled, barring Parallax as he had no lanterns of his own, as the universe shined brightly with their colors, but they were all proud of their champion, especially Entity. With Naruto. So what will you do now? Aya asked Naruto, having blasted her creator, and laid claim to the ship as she was stealing it. May as well fix the F-ups of a lot of people, save a planet, stop some evil mastermind, break a bunch of rules. Naruto said to her. So business as usual. Aya said as she saw him smile, I want you to F me and all your lovers on this ship, marking every corner of it and even on the ship itself, she said as easily as breathing. Naruto for once in his life blushed as Aya became very dirty in their time together. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more crossovers. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.